the week
You guys
before.
can you? I'm not very familiar with YouTube, but can you on YouTube advertise your podcast? Like, could you spend 10 grand to get this like out there for people
Nice,
to
bro.
like view and do stuff? Like, how does that work?
You mean like promote the actual episode
Exactly.
itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just run YouTube ads.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
you could do that?
yeah, you could. I don't know. Can you advertise a YouTube channel on YouTube? Because I see plenty of ads. I've never seen a YouTube channel being advertised.
It's kind of like Facebook. What's it called? Facebook and boosts and stuff. Like when you're on a page and you boost the ad, so you want to do it towards Facebook video or towards a single video.
Yeah, I've never
not
seen
the whole
that
channel.
I've never seen that either.
Facebook doesn't really let you promote like other links, outside links for social media. Like if you try to boost a YouTube video, it'll tell you that it's blocked.
Yeah,
you
they want
can't
you to do it on
that.
YouTube.
They want you to keep it on Facebook. Like if you're promoting a video, they want you promoting a Facebook video. But now the lighting for sure. But it's funny that you said all the shit about the studio because that's when we first started. That was the goal from the beginning.
Yep.
You know, like hey, basically we want a big social club. You know, where you can come hang out. We have a bar in there. You know, a poker table, pool table, all of this shit, and we record once a week. And then we were even thinking about like all of our friends that just need like a little man cave away from home. Bro, kick in, help with the fees, $40 a month, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just whatever it is to keep this place going, and then we turn it profitable by renting out the studio, renting out the space. You know, maybe running
Helping people build their own podcast,
yeah, all of it, bro. Whatever.
or if they want to record just them doing a whatever.
OnlyFans,
Just
straight up turn it into a porn studio, bro. That's where the money's
So
at
you need
anyway.
space for expansion.
yes.
Not only just 1,500 square feet, but also room for expansion.
When we
need
bust, we
plenty
want to
of
hit the
room
walls.
for expansion. All right, so I'm gonna get right into it, Jay. Obviously,
So, Tom, I have a question for you.
yeah.
Are we talking about addictions?
FYI,
or just
there's no
general-
timeout. We're already live, probably. I think.
It's all good. It's
Yeah,
not a big
that's
deal.
good.
I was just curious.
He's
to
like,
learn,
time out, cut.
Do we have some sort of
Yeah,
like
I circled it and
a
sent it to you.
I know.
I know.
don't
You
read
just
anything,
thumbs
so
up
it's
for
like,
no
you know.
reason.
Exactly.
He's like, thumbs
I
up.
was
I'm like, wow.
Thumbs up. I was like, I'll read it on my way to the
No,
podcast, and then I got
Yeah, so we're gonna start with you, kind of your history, where you're from. I feel like a lot of people that are gonna see this know us and work with us, you know, and we all know somewhat your story, but I would like to get a little more deep with whatever you're comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like most of us know that you were born in India, right?
Yep.
Your family was born in India. Tell me a little more about that. I guess I would ask why. Why did you guys? Because this is stuff. Even knowing you for as long as I've known you, I don't know why your family came from India to America.
Got it. So it was because my mom remarried, and that was one of the reasons why we moved from India to U.S. I lost my father when I was 8 years old. Obviously, a lot of people that know me know
In
that.
India?
Exactly, yes. And that was kind of like, it's in your life you have circumstances, let's say, right, that comes and changes like your life completely, and that was one of those like adversities in my life that changed my life completely. But again,
You were 8,
It's-
you said?
yes, yeah.
That's a tough age. I have a 9-year-old right now, or he might be 10, but that's a tough age. And I'm assuming you're like your mom, your dad all lived together. It was a
Exactly. Yeah, it was 4 of us, right? So it was not only just me being 8, but also my sister being 4. So for her, like it was all she knows is me as a father, just because when my father, like he was sick before he passed away. So for 2 years it was a struggle with cancer and things like that. So that was like it's almost like as a child you see something like that going through from 6 to 8, like as your adolescence, and you're like comprehending. What I'm saying? Like it's funny.
Those
my
are
daughter,
such spongy ages, man, where you start to intake and learn and comprehend a lot more than when you're 2 or 3.
Exactly. It's funny because my daughter just turned 7 yesterday. Actually day before yesterday. But it's funny, right? Like it's kind of cool. It's like surreal for me because it's that same thing. And I was like, man, that was the age. Like, how much did I comprehend? How much does she comprehend? What did I capture through all that? It's kind of more. Like you think about that now because you have something to compare it to, like I've never known what a 7-year-old is because when you grow out of that,
Right.
and you don't have kids, you don't know how to make a comparison.
But now you see it in front of you because your daughter is around that age.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I can relate a little bit. I lost my father when I was 11, and my oldest son now is 13, so he's already been through that age. And one of my biggest fears always was I didn't have a good relationship with my father. He wasn't around. He was kind of like a weekend dad. But it's weird because like I have these vivid memories, and the crazy part is most of the memories I have of him are just not pleasant, it's like feeling bad for acting away at his house that was not in line with what he expected versus me being raised with me by my mother. Or like literally like you would see in a TV show, like sitting on the steps waiting for him to pick me up, and then he never comes, and here it is, my mom nurturing me and saying, hey, something came up, always sticking up for him, you know what I mean? But now that I see the reality of it is like, I just didn't have a good dad, sadly. And I think I relate to that now because now that my son's that age, I do whatever I can to make sure, like, God forbid, if something happened to me, man, it would break my heart if he felt that way about me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
of course.
I've lost people in my life that impacted me so much more than losing my father did. So it's like the opposite of what you're saying.
Exactly.
Now, excuse me. Oh. Your mom remarried, and then she remarried in India and then came to the States, or met somebody from America and then.
So that's what it was. Met somebody from America, right? So it was, believe it or not, fun fact.
Yeah,
my mom actually married my uncle. So my uncle, my dad's brother, used to live here, and she had looked at.
So you're from India or
so
Louisiana?
he was from India, but he had moved here. So he had moved here after his engineering and everything else for college here. I'm sorry, not college, for business here, and then he was like go back and forth.
So your dad's brother.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
He was the youngest brother. Yep. So
I can see it making sense.
it's interesting, right? So it was because it was 5 years after my dad had passed away. Everybody was like, "Look, you're still young. You have to get married." She looked at a few guys
Well, there's
in
probably
India.
a lot of similarities between the two of those men as well.
Well,
right?
arranged marriage, right? So in India, around that
really?
time was all arranged marriage. So it was like, they were looking to say, okay, you need to get married again, and, to my mom, to her, it was very difficult because she's like, well, I don't think anybody will love my kids like I love my kids, So, she went on, she tried to meet a few people, but at the end, it came to a point where my uncle was visiting back in India at that time. He had gone through a divorce in U.S., because he had married somebody here. It's one of those things where I remember, like, my uncle, my mom's brother uncle, right, saying that, look, if you're worried about, your kids and somebody to love them like that, they already love them so much. So then, like, maybe consider this as an option. Like, there's already, because we used to love him because he was like the youngest uncle. So, like, he would always buy his things. It was a fun uncle. We always did things, So, so it was cool. So that's kind of was what got my mom convinced to be like, okay, if I'm going to remarry, all right, this would be good for my kids, and it's kind of crazy, right? Like, as you grow up and you kind of go back and like do self-reflection, I didn't realize how many sacrifices she made for us, without even like telling us, right? And it's, like, I remember now, like, being like, I was so like, I don't want to go to U.S. My sister was like, I don't want to go to U.S. I can only imagine like the sacrifice she was making and leaving her family and everybody else to like move to a whole new country. So, it's funny because I say like I went through adversity, but it's like when you think about that and like care about understanding somebody else's perspective, you realize like, wow, like she must have gone through so much more. Like, she lost a husband, getting remarried, relocating to a new country, trying to do what's best for her kids. And, it's like, I could just imagine, like, it's crazy,
So when she married your uncle, that wasn't arranged, or that was?
That was arranged as well, right?
Oh.
So it was like the same thing, hey.
Interesting.
When she married my dad, it was arranged too. And then when she married
Did you follow that tradition?
No, I didn't.
So with arranged marriages, there's still some say in it though, because it sounds like from what you said, it's not like your mother's parents just said, "Hey, this is Phil. You're marrying him today." Mm-hmm. There's still some like she meets and
so look, arranged marriages, there's this common misconception like, oh, it's an arranged marriage, you have no choice, it is what it is. But it's not really true. The reality is arranged marriages are more like, it's like your parents pick who they think is best suited for you to date.
And you sign off on it.
And then you basically, go on dates, you see if you like them, and if you do and you believe that you can be with that person, then you will say, yes, I want to get married to that person. So it's kind of like more like they recommend people to you in essence, and then you do that, right?
So it's not arranged might be just a misleading word then. It's more
like
your parents kind of playing Cupid for you.
Exactly.
Helping you meet a good suitor.
Well,
is
think about
suitor
it this
okay?
way.
Is that the right word?
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly, right? They're looking out for your best interest. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way it is. But look, arranged marriages has its pros and cons, just like regular marriages do,
Yeah, I'm not shitting on arranged marriages by any means. If part of that culture, if your mom had met somebody on her own outside of the recommendations of the family, is she still allowed to say, no, this is who I choose to move forward with?
Yeah, exactly, right? So like,
Yeah, you're right.
Things have changed.
The perception of arranged marriages, when I hear that word, is so different than the reality of it.
And also times changed, right? Like, yes, what arranged marriages were 100 years, 200 years ago is different than what they are today, right? Look, arranged marriages was like you saying, hey, I want to make sure I am matching somebody, through wealth to wealth or through, certain values, certain standards, certain. So, look, it was almost like, it's funny, you see it in, what's the can't even think of the name of the show, like the Dragon Show.
The Dragon Show. Puff the Magic Dragon.
No. On HBO, whatever we're talking about.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, right? So it's funny because you see it kind of like in Game of Thrones, like I'll say like go back like that, right? So technically that's kind of what arranged marriages were if you see it there, where they're like, okay, you're going to marry my daughter so you can have the name and things like that. That's kind of what arranged marriages were. So it's not like arranged marriage was, well, technically those were the arranged marriages that they were just
those
like,
are hardcore.
They were arranged, right?
They're like for military power, we need to marry into this family. So when you're 12, you're marrying that 12-year-old.
Well, so the reality is, look, that's what arranged marriages were. It was more about getting power or, getting alliances. Exactly right. No pun intended.
Is that where you came up with that?
Alliances, right? So it's funny because, like, really, that's the reality of arranged marriages, and obviously it's moved a lot.
Well, just like everywhere else in the world, like people have kind of just progressed naturally to a more progressive type of lifestyle. It's interesting to know that, because if you don't go out of your way to study this, right? And my ignorance is obviously shown, but I don't really go and follow current events or politics or culture of Middle Eastern countries. So it's easy for me to think and be under the idea that, man, they're so stuck in the Stone Age, they're not living or in a progressive way, but really they are.
Exactly. And the reality of things is, look, it's funny. Because do you understand, arranged marriages have a better chances of working out than regular marriages do.
You know why? I bet I could tell you why that is. Because there's more rational and like predetermined thought that goes into it versus just emotional, I'm in love. Because at the end of the day,
versus the American way of just having sex.
Well, no, the American way is just like, it's all emotional based. Yeah. Most of the time, granted, successful marriages probably sit down and talk about finances and communication and all of these logistical things like, hey, here's our plan. Are we on the same plan? Most people, though, I feel like get married because I love you. I want to spend forever with you. And that's it, and that's not a real,
how is love
that's
formed?
Not a thought out, it's not a thought out plan.
Exactly. How is love formed? It's formed when you get to understand somebody, you find common ground, and you fall in love, right? The way here is fall in love first and then be practical second, okay? Mm-hmm. Now on the other side, imagine this.
Interesting.
Okay? You start practically first. What's the guy's credit score? How much money does he make? How much time, has he spent in getting an education? Mm-hmm. What job does he have? What's his pay in the job? What's the opportunity for him to succeed in that job? What is the family like? Do we get along with family? Okay, and then two families are introducing things, right? Now, one, if there's any challenges, the whole family is supporting you. Right? Because they're like, hey, we committed to this. We're part of this, right? So when your husband and your wife and you're having an argument, you can't go to your in-laws, right? Or your part of the family and go, he's terrible. Because they're like, no. We've done the practical research. He's not terrible.
He's not terrible.
We have data to prove it otherwise. Let's just get together and let's have a thing. Instead, I didn't like him anyways. You shouldn't have married him anyways. So there's a support of a family that's not there when it's a love marriage as opposed to an arranged marriage. Mm. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day,
it's interesting.
When all the practicality is figured out, and then you fall in love, that has a bigger chance of working out.
At that point.
So when you meet that other person and you still get to, have a conversation with them and engage with them and fall in love with them, that love is still real, but it's built on practicality.
On a much stronger foundation.
Exactly. Yeah. It's built on a stronger foundation.
How does your wife now, how does she take to the Indian culture and stuff like that? Is she Indian?
No, she's Lebanese.
She's Lebanese. Oh, okay.
Yes. Hence, it was an arranged marriage.
Are the Lebanese, they same thing? Like they do arranged?
No, they're from Lebanon.
No. No. He was asking about if they do arranged marriage. So, I mean, look, the reality is if you go back to any culture, it was always an arranged marriage. I mean, no matter what culture you go back to. marriage was supposed to be, it's matrimony, but it's like committing, families together. And marriage was about we're bringing families together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like, that's what
Can
marriage
you come a
was.
little closer to the mic?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You want to almost be like 2 fists away. There you go. That's fine. Yeah, don't do it.
not
Don't do it.
even-
Don't do it. Don't do it. That's why I try to do it.
I was like, you almost got me. You almost got me.
I said it to everybody, but I try to get it quick out of the way.
said it. That's so great. He knew right away.
I was like,
nah,
yeah,
dude.
I'm
Gotta measure that.
All right, cool. So your mom remarried, and he already had ties to the States from
Exactly.
his prior wife.
Yes.
So was he living in the States? Like, how did?
Yes,
what
he was a citizen in the United States. His biggest thing was, look, it was so my dad, my original dad, was the first one in his family to get a college education.
In India.
Yes, in India. Prior to that, all of his family members were taxi drivers. Okay. So I'm saying that's kind of where he came from.
The
So
stereotypes are crazy, huh?
well,
Like, you
exactly,
said,
right?
fucking-
So my youngest
Uncle?
uncle, that's my stepdad now.
Right.
He knew how important it was because my dad made sure he got his college education in engineering and things like that as well. So he knew how
So
important
your dad
it
was
was.
basically deciding, like, listen, man, this is not a one-off. This is going to be the new standard for our
Exactly.
family.
Like, hey, listen, if we were to get married, it's important to me that the kids get the best education, and I want them to go to U.S. and get the education. So that was the prerequisite of that arranged marriage, in essence, to say, hey, I want to make sure they are raised in U.S. and get that education.
Gotcha. Now, how old were you? You said you were 8 when your dad passed. How old were you when y'all actually came to the U.S.?
14.
What a time to change countries, man.
Was it culture shock for you? It must have been.
Crazy
My
culture
son now is 13, and just the thought of us, buying a home in another state or another school sends him into a panic, So imagine being 14. You're dealing with the struggles of a 14-year-old anyway. Your body's changing, your friends, like everything is different for you. It's a weird time, and now you got to live in another country. Did you speak English?
Yeah, I did speak English. So that was
Okay.
a huge win, So
Yeah, that's a huge
obviously
one.
I
Why did you speak English?
So I went to a Catholic school in India, actually, where they teach you English, and it's like a convent school is what they're called, where they teach
Like
you English
monks?
from. No, not monks. They're more like it's just more. It's like a semi-private school where they're just they teach you English as part of the upbringing. I mean, now in India we teach kids English in kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's such a language that's worldwide spread. But that's why Indians have always been taught English at a really young age, right? The only difference was, look, now you have social media, so you know what cultural differences were, right?
Right.
But when you're like East and West, like we're literally complete opposites, right? The way we are taught British English, you know what I'm saying, which is like very literal, very practical. There's not a lot of slangs, whereas like U.S.
a lot
English
more
is
formal,
like
yeah.
very
Yeah.
different.
Very, very.
Like I remember, distinctly the first time somebody's like, "That's cool," and I'm like,
This
"No,
seems
it's a
pretty
thing.
normal.
How can it be cool?" Like, it's like I don't
like, no,
understand
it
what that
feels
means.
normal
Like,
temperature to me.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's like I didn't know what that meant, So
I'm shocked that so going through a Catholic kind of upbringing versus Hindu, right? Or
yeah. So I'm Sikh, Sikh, which is my culture.
oh, okay, all right.
But I'm saying, it's derivative of Hinduism, yes. But the reality is, again, when schools were established, things like that, most of the schools and everything were established like from the British time, right? Think about India. We didn't get our freedom till 1947.
Oh wow,
Just
I
think
didn't
about
know
that.
that.
We were under the British
That's
rule
crazy.
until 1947. So literally, it hasn't even been 100
Less than
years
100 years.
of
80 years, 75 years.
Exactly, it hasn't even been 100 years of freedom. So everything that's been built and structured and things like that was around that British English, things like that. So obviously things have changed significantly since. But some things that have been of value, stayed, right? Like everyone speaking English. So there's a lot of things that they added in, right? Because they were trying to, almost
They being the British.
British, exactly. That's why English is such
British
a thing.
really had a stronghold on fucking everything, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, fucking white people, man, colonialism.
Damn.
the empire.
So you came here. You were 14. Do you guys come right to Rhode Island the whole time, or
So
where were you?
no, I actually lived in Phoenix, Arizona for the first year.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I went to Thunderbird High School.
Thunderbird High School,
yes,
bro.
that
That
was a
sounds. And that was in what? The 80s?
90s.
90s?
Yeah,
That
90s.
sounds like some 80s, 90s shit. Thunderbird High
What was
School.
that like? What were you?
I think it's still called Thunderbird High School in Phoenix. It's like the biggest Phoenix
Damn,
school.
but that was like 80s rock and hip hop just starting to become a
Oh,
thing, right?
really?
When you were
Okay.
like well, I'm asking you, like, what was it like being in the fucking
Oh, the
high school
90s?
in
Yeah, of
America in
course
the
it was.
90s, man?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that school was insane. Like, I mean, obviously, we actually just stayed for a year and we went back to
Was it
India
a
for
public
a year.
school?
Oh.
So, yeah, so it was a public school, but it's in the
Which
city
was
of
new to you.
Phoenix, okay?
Big-ass
which
city.
is like big-ass city.
Yeah.
So you're talking like you have like thousands of kids in the school.
Diverse?
Like, super diverse. Like you can't imagine like diverse, right? But it's also like, it's kind of weird, but like whenever you have diversity, you also have cliques. Does that make any sense?
Of course, yeah.
If you have too many diverse people of same background, though, it kind of loses its value because then people form their own cultural bonds within that diverse group, right? So if you have a like
People
to
just
me,
tend to flock to what they're comfortable with.
Exactly. So then you have, like,
similar people.
thousands of people, but the reality is, all the
have
Indians are
the
friends.
Asians,
all
the
the
Indians.
Asians are
I'll
friends.
tell you what.
You know,
Jersey was like that. New Jersey was very, very diverse. And in high school, there were cliques. All the Italians hung out with Italians. The Hispanics hung out with Hispanics. Blacks hung out. Like, exactly what you're saying. I didn't realize that was...
I think that's everywhere.
yeah. I mean, because look, the reality is, it's just what you're, like you said, what you're comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I said, if I walk in, who do you think I'll feel the most comfortable that understands me? You know what I'm saying?
Right, you're gonna-
It's just the way it's... Now, obviously, all that's changing now, where it's changing because literally the way we procreate is diversity, right? Before, even like, even
Just
you would-
mixed nationalities having babies together is such a more common thing now where a lot of times you don't even know. You look at somebody, you don't know if they're white, black, Spanish,
Exactly.
Indian.
In the 90s, you knew who was what.
Shit,
you know
look
what
at
I'm
me.
saying?
I'm Filipino and Irish. That's
Yeah, I
weird.
can
Two
tell.
weird mixes.
Exactly.
People think I'm Hispanic.
You can fit in a few boxes.
Yeah.
You're not Hispanic?
No.
I'm just kidding.
I'm like, no, vato.
So you came for a year, then you went back to India. Why did y'all go back to India?
So obviously, my sister hated it, and I hated it too because it was just like
Hated America?
such a exactly. Well, I mean, and again, like not only coming to America,
like hated the
but like you
change,
said,
the
like
change.
well, change and also the atmosphere, right? Like when you live in a big city like that, and even going back to the '90s, like people like whatever, like you're even new, you didn't know anybody, so it was very difficult because it was just like we were isolated, right? Like so, it's just literally we knew nobody. So when that happened and we were here in school, even when you went to school, it was like it's tough because I came in, I think I was like junior. Well, actually, I was supposed to come
At
in
14?
No,
you're probably
I
a
skipped
freshman.
a year. I skipped a year.
Look at
So when
you.
I came here, they took a test and blah blah blah, and they're like,
So you came in as a sophomore, probably.
So there you go. Yes, I was. So it's like I came in basically as a freshman, but I ended up going as a sophomore. So it kind of like
So
put
you
me in
stand
like
out
a
even
weird
more.
place.
You stand out
Exactly.
even more as if
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like all those variables played a part, and whatever. So it was it's years spent there, and after that we were like, nah, screw this. My sister was like, I'm not doing this. She wanted
What
to go.
and your mom didn't work? Just your stepdad worked?
No, my dad worked. I mean, my mom worked too. She was actually assistant manager at Church's Chicken.
What?
Bro, I love Church's Chicken.
It's only West
What
Coast,
the-
though. They don't have it here.
What did your stepdad
Oh no,
do
I'm
for
sorry.
There was some in
that was
Florida
my
back
dad.
in
My
the
mom
day.
was assistant manager at Jack in the Box.
Nice.
I love Jack in the
Jack
Box.
in the Box. Oh, I ate a year of Jack in the Box.
You're gonna have to go
And,
down
like,
the list of
basically
food till he
3 to 5.
doesn't love it, bro.
My sister was a manager at Checkers.
KFC. I love KFC. All right, so your mom just basically found a way to get involved in any company here or whatever. The reason you came to the U.S. though was your stepdad's career, or
Yes, or for education too, because he wanted both of those
I
things.
see, I
You know what I'm
see.
saying? So it was like, it's kind of crazy because like he did have a career, but he was doing. So basically, the way he ended up in the U.S. was that he was working with a buddy of his. They were partners, and they had started they were doing jewelry trading, and then basically he ended up going to Germany. For a few years, and he was doing jewelry
your
from
stepdad's partner.
and my stepdad. So like my
both of
stepdad
them
was in
were.
Germany, and then from there they both moved to U.S. because they were still doing the jewelry thing. But when my dad had come back and he was going through a divorce and everything else, when he came back, and then when he went back, because he had come back and then he was getting married and everything else, so he was basically there. Like he had come for 2 months, and then he's like, okay, if I'm gonna get married and everything else, I'll stay for 5 months or 6 months. So he ended up staying for that 5-6 months, getting married, doing all the things, getting all the things set up for me to come back. For us to come back in essence. And while he was doing that, he literally goes back and he's like, oh, I can do this without you. Like, I'm all set. Like, I'm
his
having my
partner
brother.
said that to your
Exactly,
stepdad?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, my brother-in-law is going to come in and take over. You were gone for the last 6 months, so we really don't need you. Like, sorry, bud, see you later. Like, so it kind of like changed
happens.
everything, from his perspective, because he was supposed to be a partner. But
Right,
then,
and
like,
now you don't have
it was all
anything.
of it was under the other guy's name. So, like, basically, he ended up being left with nothing. And he had to go through a tough time from that too, because he ended up having to, like, he used to live in like LA. He used to have like, a house on Long Beach. He had to foreclose
He just had
on
a
it.
lifestyle.
Yeah, he had a
Yeah, that's
lifestyle. And he had to like completely give that up because like basically he got screwed over his business.
And this was, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I get the timelines right. This all happened right after him and your mom got married?
Exactly. Yeah.
So he's coming back thinking like, hey, I'm giving my family this lifestyle here, boom, boom. And then everything changes.
Exactly.
And then at this point, you and your mom and your sister were back in India.
Yep.
And then he went back to India? Or
No,
you guys
then
came
we
back
came
to
back
the
here.
States?
That's when we ended up with Phoenix and things like that because he had a friend of his that was in Phoenix. He said, hey, listen, come here. I've got an opportunity. I can get you a manager job. So, he started as a manager at 7-Eleven and like, was it Kmart, not 7-Eleven, Kmart.
Bro, you're hitting all the stereotypes.
Exactly,
Taxi
right?
driving, stereo.
He's like, so then a few years later, we opened up a liquor store.
We did do that. I'm just kidding.
All right, so this, and then obviously you went back to India. How long were you back in India for?
So I was back in India. Well, we went back for a year again. So
year
basically,
again.
that's what happened, right?
So like
Because-
a year,
Now,
and then
let me ask you this. Is that a culture shock going from America to India? Like, you get accustomed to the American way of life to some degree.
Yeah.
And I know it's
But
home.
I'm saying, like,
but
exactly. But the point is, like, think about it, right? Like, if you've got something you're accustomed to for 13 years of your life, and you
Oh,
have 1
right.
year of
Okay, I see
different,
where
you
you're
go
going.
back to that.
Yeah.
It was almost like, thank God I'm back here. You
Right.
know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, it's like a relief.
But the reality is like, it's almost like when I went back, that was my 10th grade. So I kind of did the 10th grade again there, right? Because to them, we skipped a school here, but they don't give a shit. They want
Yeah,
you to
like
go
you
through
went
the
to
10th grade
American
again.
high school. That doesn't
exactly.
count, bro.
It doesn't count. Right? Exactly.
when you went back to India, what was your lifestyle back in India? Were you, and maybe I'm not articulating this properly, but were you poor? Were you wealthy? Were you well off? Were you comfortable?
In
Were you-
India, I'd say we were like middle class, right? So
Is
like
there a
it
middle
was like-
class in
yeah,
India?
I mean, there's always a middle class. It's just how middle is middle. Is
Right, sure.
what
There's
it is,
always classes.
Exactly. But I mean, I would say we had resources, right? In India, you have the lower class that's even lower because you get it for cheap.
Sure.
We had service, like in essence, like we had people to make food, clean the house.
Oh,
do
okay.
things when you come
you
to
call
US.
that middle class?
Well, I mean, yes, in India. In India it is. Because I'm saying,
wild.
like, you are understand, like, in India you could get somebody to be a
Anything?
maid for like
Nothing.
$200 a month. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe $150 a month. You know what I'm saying?
So my understanding, this might be totally ignorant, is that it's almost feast or famine in India. Is that true?
No,
You're
not
saying
at
there's
all.
a middle
so
class.
I'm saying,
but
like, look, the end of the day, at this point in time, I mean, the India economy and everything, the way it's booming and everything else,
good.
there's way more
Yeah.
than it's ever been before. Like more middle class, upper middle class. Like there's more
Interesting.
variables. Because the end of the day, look, it's the same thing as U.S. Right? Like it's
Yeah.
the end of the day, you're like to me, it's funny because like people these days they used to, it's kind of like going back to like why politicians can't. Say this whole big companies making all this money because the reality is Amazon's owned by all of us. Saying we all have stock in some way, whether you're invested in bonds and everything else.
Not
so when
only
they're like,
that.
"Fuck Amazon," I'm like, "No, let's not
Don't
get
fuck
carried
Amazon.
away." We got stock value in there.
That's
Like,
right.
let's not get crazy. So that's what's changed. Back in the day, it was like, "Oh, the Rockefellers own this." So fuck the Rockefellers. Like there was something to go after.
Steels.
Today, it's like fucking stupid because like you can't go after the Rockefellers because it's like
Right.
Amazon's not the Rockefeller.
right.
Amazon's 10% Jeff Bezos, 90% all of
So
us.
many
You
third
know what I'm
party.
saying?
There's a lot of
So-
third party sellers on there too. Like
Exactly,
at the
yeah.
average mom and pop that want to start selling their own products, sell from Amazon.
Exactly.
It's just a platform to sell shit.
And I mean, look, it's supply and demand, and it's always going to be that way. But I'm saying, like, it's funny because it's the same thing, right? Like, there's a perception But the reality is always a whole lot different than what the perception is.
And that's why I was asking
So you're
those
not wrong,
questions.
you know, with the perception that's created, but the reality is not that. The reality is like, you know,
My ignorant
You picture like Aladdin, where you're either in the fucking castle, the palace, or on the street begging.
To some degree, yes, because I'm thinking of like, so my, again, ignorant, what I know, whatever was depicted to me was like, I'm thinking of Slumdog Millionaire, the movie. Have you seen that movie?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of poverty,
well, I mean, even
overpopulation.
Slumdog Millionaire is 20 years old. So, like, I'm saying, like,
True.
the movie's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
15,
yeah.
18 years old. So, if you think about it,
I
like,
didn't realize that there is a middle class. So that's like news
hell
to me.
yeah. Well, I mean, think about it this way, okay? Here's what's changed in India.
Yeah.
Right? When you're a labor force, when you're a laborer, there's only so much you could pay for labor. And if you're giving the job away from a labor perspective, obviously there's not a lot because there's no learning and growing in labor. Labor is just make things, move widgets, and make it work.
Sure.
Right? What's happened in India is they have, because they were English speaking, right? Like, and honestly, Philippines and India are both in that same category. Because they had English speaking people, they were able to take advantage of this like transitioning economy with the do not call list and everything else, where there's a lot of people that do call center work, okay? Look, engineers in India make less than call center reps.
That's right. Yeah.
So the reality is, what's happened is India has gotten a new rebirth around, you know, it's skilled labor, right? Because when you communicate exactly, tech industry is next, right? So what we've gone from being the labor force where we would make widgets from you, right, or for you, you know, to now being a skilled labor force, okay, that is of value, right? So you get a customer service rep
changing,
here,
or has
okay?
changed.
Your bare minimum you pay them is $15 an hour,
Right.
And for $15 an hour, let's back that up, $600 a week. That's $2,400 a month. Okay,
You can get a fucking
I'm saying
apartment
for
in India.
$2,400 a month in India. Okay,
US, or are you talking about?
$2,400 US dollars. First things
right.
first.
You can get a team
for,
of people.
Exactly. No, but forget that. For $1,500. So let's say forget the 2,400 because 24 is what you pay the 15 base, right? Then you have all the top add-ons and everything else. You're talking $3,000 a month is what you pay per employee, bare minimum here, right? For skilled labor.
Right,
But
right.
a phone person in India, you would get the best of the best person, somebody who's worked at a stock brokerage, dealing with customers and doing that for $2,000 a month. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So my point is like the quality of labor you can get for the cost of the labor here is so
Significant.
exponential, right?
Yeah.
That's where our value is coming. The more you become expensive here, the more ours growing and creating becomes more value for us, right? So we are no longer the workhorse, right? Like we are the the
Outsource
talented
is the best word, yeah.
source. Exactly.
It's just outsourcing the talent.
What total side question? What is the Indian currency? Is it rupees?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Look at
right.
that. You know it.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was gonna say dinar.
$1. No,
That's Arabic, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So $1 is 80 rupees.
Interesting.
So the currency exchange always kind of it didn't click with me because $1 is 80 rupees. But now are you telling me like so for here if I want a bottle of water it's $2. If I go to India a bottle of water is 2 rupees?
No,
or is it $160 rupees?
Well, also somewhere in between, right?
Right, so it's like the equivalent of $2 anyway.
So it's 80 rupees, right? So it's still $1 compared to your dollar strong.
Gotcha.
So even though it's yes, you're right? So like the reason for the translation is because currency holds its value, right? But the reality of things is on the other side of it, okay? The country owns the currency, right? So at the end of the day, the people that can't live there and they live in the poverty line or whatever may be, they have to reduce cost of essentials to be below that for it to make sense, right? I mean, it's the same reason why drug companies make 1,000 to 5,000% return, even higher, selling to U.S. But when they sell that same drug in India, they make a 100% or 200%
Yeah, it's not even
return.
close.
You know what
It's
I'm
not
saying?
even close.
So it's because they have to discount the price to be of value, or they won't sell any in that market.
Interesting.
All right. So I just want to keep myself caught up now. You're back in India. You left here when you got here when you were 14, stayed a year, back to India. What brought you back to the States? And was it for good this time?
So what brought us back was because obviously, like my dad was like, "Listen, I came to like get them reacclimated so we can move to a better place."
But our future is
obviously the
your
future
son
is in
that was sold.
USA.
Yeah, your future is in
that's where
USA.
we want to go. So this time around, my other uncle, my mom's brother, had a couple of friends in Agawam, Massachusetts. So where the Six Flags
Oh,
is,
Six
right?
Flags. That's
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
So basically, my uncle was like, "Oh, and here's the other thing happened too." Because I came to India, because I came to US and I spent a year here, I really didn't learn a whole lot. Like when I went back, I was actually behind academically
Yeah, 'cause you
from
kinda
their
wasted, like,
standards.
a year and a half.
So when I took the 10th grade, so their 10th
good?
grade
You top off?
is sure. Their 10th grade is the final grade. So you actually go to junior college. So the way it works in India is you have 10th grade, then you have junior college, which is 11th and 12th, and then you go to college, which is, normal college.
And you became an engineer. What kind of engineer? Electrical, mechanical?
So mechanical engineers where I went to school for.
Oh, interesting. I was a machinist before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Both my dads were mechanical engineers, so that's kind of like,
That's
it's
awesome.
a family business, I guess I would say, so engineering.
Agawam. Why Agawam?
Well, just because that's where, like I said, that's where people were. So when we were coming back, it wasn't like we're isolated by ourselves with nobody we know, but rather coming back to a place where, okay, we know a few people, we have a place to start, there's some friends as opposed to no friends, and kind of get from there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, just even no matter how big it is, it's a little bit of a support system. Even if it's as simple as like, hey, where should we go get groceries? Where should we go out to eat today? Like,
Exactly.
what can we do around here? Just
where's church?
Where's church,
this?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Whatever,
Think about it this
everything.
way, okay?
My car
Going
died, where
back
should
to
I go?
90s, again, internet.
There's no Google,
is
there's
either, it's
there
like you
was.
don't have
Remember the
things
dial-up?
like you have
Oh,
here. Yeah,
jeez.
exactly. That was the dial-up age, right?
Yes.
Like, so, and again, if you come from India, you have to understand too, the reality is I'm 25 years behind you at that point. Right?
Wow.
Because now with the internet, I'm 25 days behind you, right? But
Wow,
in that
dude,
time
that's-
frame, I'm 20 years behind you, right? Like what my dad died with for cancer. I mean, if he was in US,
What
it
kind of
would've been
cancer was
saved.
it, if you don't mind me
It
asking?
was a stomach ulcer, okay?
Damn.
And in normal
So with
cases,
the right medical care, it would have been fine.
if he was in US, he would have survived and he would have lived and he would have been good. That's the difference, right? The difference for why you pay 2,000, 5,000, 6,000% more, okay, and the drug companies make value is because you get the best innovation in the front, right? We pay cheaper, but we get the worst innovation because it has to come to a point where it's gone through all the masses for us to be able to take the value from it, right? So the reality is that's where the world used to be. Today, obviously, things have
different,
changed, right?
yeah.
Like in India back in there, they used to be like, oh, you got sick, you're rich. All right, get them to the USA, let them go through the process and become better. Oh, it
Now
sucks.
it's
You're going to
different.
die here because you're Indian and you don't have money because you can't go anywhere else to get that shit fixed, right? So there was value in, how you do things. And it's
deep.
funny. Huh?
So that's deep.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, but look, it's crazy because it's deep, right? But it's hilarious because that was reality. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't deep. Like I think about it now, and it's like, wow, that seems like deep. I'm like, nah, we had to live through that, dude. If you're fucking Indian and you were hustling, and or you were, you're poor, you don't have money. That's reality. Like
You know what?
imagine the reality being you have to like kiss your grandparents or parents to say, hey, you're gonna die from cancer because we don't have any money to fix it. God wants you faster because if he wanted us to fix you, he would have given you
give us
more
more
money.
money.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's okay. It's like, it's part of life. Like you have to be positive through that because how do you take that guilt if it's like not, you know what I'm saying? So it's a different way of life.
I honestly think that so Americans that are born in America, they miss out on that kind of wisdom and experience in life and perspective of, I think a lot of Americans that are born in America, if they've never left the walls of America, they fail to realize what the rest of the world is like, especially a country like India where there's such deep historical global value. Like I have a fascination with the ancient people of India that I'm like currently researching, but that's a whole different conversation. But I feel like Americans today, they don't understand what you understand coming from a different country, going to America, realizing the medical value there, right? Like you have no idea what it's like outside of the walls of America and how good you have it and those kind of things.
So it's funny you say that. You're right. Exactly, right? So you got it. But let me ask you a question. Does it make it right or wrong?
In
Or
what
different,
sense?
right?
What do
So
you mean?
like, for example, it's funny you say that because I was having this conversation with my cousins yesterday, okay? Look, America is, got its freedom and the way we approach things here is different. You're right. There's a lot more positivity here because you haven't faced the challenges as many others have. But that is what probably makes this country the richest country in the world. Because when you have those burdens that you have to carry with you, it holds you down. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yes, you're right. But in some ways, God bless you, dude. If you're an American and you didn't have to go through that adversity, awesome. Like, but the difference is,
fuck yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like the pros and cons, right? But those Americans that want to hustle hard because they see it as a blessing and then don't take it for granted, they get a benefit, right? The ones that take it for granted, it sucks for them because they're wasting what they have. That is why they see other people from other countries.
Right.
We come from a lot of burdens, right? Like I come from a lot of bullshit. Adversity, obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So to us, like, you know, like not only do we have to do two things. Not only do we have to win, but we have to fight our demons at the same time.
But that builds
know
a specific character trait that a lot of Americans don't have, right?
Exactly. Well, that's why the immigration, right? The immigrant mentality, right?
Yeah.
The immigrant mentality.
Immigrant mentality. Shout out to
because
Joey
we
Diaz.
have the two battles we're always fighting. No matter how successful we get, we always see ourselves as
You
poor
know how
self.
bad it can be.
You know how
what
bad
it's like
it can
to come
be,
from the slums,
right?
man.
But think about it this way: we are risk adverse sometimes because of it. Okay. Oh my God, I have this. Like I can't lose that. Do you understand where we come from? Do you understand the adversity? Do you understand
Like a
what my
scarcity
great granddaughter exactly, right?
model.
In some ways, right? Look, you know, because look, that's the challenge, right? In some ways, that's why it's like either you fail completely or you succeed.
Sure.
As an American, that's the way to go, right?
Yeah.
In India, it's not that. It's about climbing a class, climbing up the ladder, right? Like slowly but surely. It's not about leapfrogging. It's not about trying to get above your boss. It's about just slowly but surely, every 5 to 7 years, making that climb. So in some ways, you're like almost like taught to think very rationally. But again, sometimes irrational works. You know what I'm saying? When you fucking say, I quit my job and I'm going to start a business and it works out, fuck, it works.
Right.
But guess what? If it fails in U.S., you file bankruptcy and you start brand new again.
Right.
Yeah,
You can't do that anywhere else.
Well, exactly,
You
right?
can't do that anywhere else.
Like the systems are built for you to
Succeed.
not ever have
Take
to
risks.
fucking come to a point where you feel like we had to feel like we're coming, you know,
Right.
where we just got our freedoms, right? So the reality is like this fucking place is built for you to take risks, fail, restructure, and reorganize and start again. So if you're not doing that,
I feel
you're
like
not
that's
taking risks.
That's your MO, right? That's your
Fuck
whole life. Yeah.
Listen, literally, if I'm not willing, I'm not afraid to take risks because to me, I have been able to build my mindset to be like, look, I come from sleeping on the fucking floor, but we used to lay a fucking, you know, sheet
Like this
and
ain't
have
shit.
6 of our cousins sleep on it, and I was happy.
Yeah.
I was fucking happy.
It's great.
So
At least
I
you
don't
have
care
a
for the
sheet.
risks. You know
Some
what I'm saying?
people don't have a
exactly,
sheet.
right? So I was like, listen, man, I was happy. So I'm saying, like, I don't give a shit if I lose it all. I know what the other side looked, and it was happy for me. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. Very interesting perspective. Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. I was just saying interesting perspective. You're like waiting for me for
So at what point?
You
so
have a lighter?
at this
Can I
point,
smoke one of these?
yeah. I don't have a lighter. Do you have?
I do.
You guys might have a lighter.
I think I do.
I already prepped the wife. I said you might smell some smoke down here today.
Oh, I didn't know you don't smoke in the house.
No, that's all right. I wonder. So this
doesn't
point,
like
you know,
me,
you're
that's our
back.
problem.
Where did you buy these?
At the dispensary.
Nova.
Nice, bro.
Nova,
That's
exactly.
Nova's
There you
brand,
go.
right?
Hell yeah.
I was gonna say for web design, I used to bid against all Chinese people constantly. Like 60% of the bids were Chinese people.
You
And
lost
now
those
it's
bids,
like,
right?
Now it's like, of course. Now it's like 70%. Now it's like 70%
Well, dude,
from India.
Go look at you. See
It's
our
unbelievable.
you see our
You have a tray.
our
You need a tray?
fucking what do you
I
call
got
it?
it, right?
Thumbnails.
Our
there you go.
thumbnails, Jay. No,
Oh, what is that?
it's like I mean you can use it actually.
Yeah,
it's
it's
fine.
a tray.
Don't
Glass.
worry about it.
Wash it out.
Well, I didn't know George was gonna want to have a drink, but it's
Oh,
fine.
my bad, buddy.
No, we'll mix it. We'll mix it for him. We'll mix it for him. No, that's ugly. Use the glass, bro. You just
Can't see
dehydrate
it.
over there.
It's all good.
No, either one is fun. But you see, like our thumbnails, bro. Somebody in the States would charge us fucking $50-$60 to make that. You know what I mean? So I hop on $5 or $10 to somebody in India, and they get it done in a couple hours.
Yeah,
dude.
Some of the bids I make, I can't even. It's impossible for me to compete. I'd have
Well-
to be paying my guys $5 an hour.
Remember, there was an Indian group that wanted to manage our whole podcast. You remember that, right?
Not exactly, bro. It was
Wait, what do you mean? We don't know if it was
you
a
know
scam
those
or not.
scams you get on like fucking Facebook Messenger. that are like, oh, you have a podcast. I've taken every podcast you've ever heard of to the next level. We manage Joe Rogan's podcast. Let us help you. Like, it's fucking scam shit, bro.
Also, have you ever
Well,
heard
no, I'm
Nigerian
saying,
prince.
Where do you find
It was
these
in
guys?
Nigeria. I don't find them, bro. They just
found
see
us.
they see the word podcast in our name and
understand
spam
there's a whole
us.
web place you could go find them, right? It's called Upwork.com.
Yeah,
if you go to
I'm
Upwork.
top rated on Upwork.
Oh, are you? Yeah, nice. There you go. See, that's what's up. So I'm saying Upwork is like what's changed the world, right? It's the economy we live in, which is like, listen, you
What
know,
is
we're
Upwork?
all.
It's a freelancer platform.
Oh,
So you can
it's
literally
so
hire
similar
anybody.
to Fiverr.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah, exactly.
It's
You've
usually-
been more
it's usually-
professional.
Well, it's usually for bigger projects. Like
Yeah.
if you want to make like a e-commerce website or something.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm saying, you know, again, the world we live in today
bring it up?
is integrated world. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it is.
It seems
All
like
right. So while he's doing that, though, George, I just want to take a quick second to thank our fucking sponsor for this episode. All right.
Thank our fucking sponsor.
Thank our fucking sponsor, bro.
Thanks to them, we're alive. We are still here and kicking.
Yo. Big shout out. So big thanks for Aunt Cambio's Barbershop. If you're looking for a barbershop where you can experience trust, talent, and skill, look no further than Cambio's Cuts. They're right at 190 Putnam Pike in Johnston. With over 2 decades of combined experience, all the barbers there are experts in any types of haircuts you need, whether it's a simple beard service or intricate designs. They make it easy for you to book online, so you have the convenience of just accessing everything on the go. Get the perfect cut every time. And yeah, why wait? Book your appointment today with Cambio's Cuts and experience the difference that comes with trust and good barbers.
Cambio!
So what's cool is you couldn't see it here, but as I was doing that voiceover, like a slideshow of his business was playing for the viewer.
Nah, I saw that.
You know what I mean?
He put it
oh,
up
you
there.
put it up there?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, bro. That's what's up. That was our first
I'm
one.
high. I'm not blind.
No, man. What do you think, though? Much better than the fucking bar room with the people bringing cases of beer in, right?
You know me. I'm happy no matter where I am. Right?
Slam
It's
somebody's
funny.
door.
It's funny, right? Like it's hilarious because that's the shit you paid attention to. I was like, I smoked, I drank. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying?
just
Like
bullshitting.
Though, you know what's funny though? But that's the law of attraction, right? Like you always think your baby's ugly. You know what I'm saying? You always like, man, this sucks. Like this could be better. This could be different. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's a saying. I'm not saying physically. Your
I thought you
baby's
heard
ugly.
one of the episodes. I'm
No.
like, chill, my kid's right there. He's heard me say it before, bro.
No. I'm saying like the reality of what I'm saying is like we always like our business or our things.
you're your biggest
We
critic.
we always find it the least value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we always know the problems in the business, right? So it's funny because somebody else will look at it from a completely different spectacle lens, and they're like, "Holy crap, this is ridiculous," right? And for you, you're like, "Oh man, I could have done this." And I was like, "Man, these guys are having fun. They're drinking. They're having a good time."
Well,
I
that's
don't give a shit where it was.
always
you know
the
what I'm
number
saying?
thing. It's like if we prioritized everything that's important to us about the podcast, number one wouldn't even be close. It would always be it's fun.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That it's fun, it's enjoyable. And that's it.
right.
Everything else, like him and I have sometimes even because I'm gonna go out and say it. Jay can be a bit more on the side of like almost leaning towards putting the business potential of it ahead of the fun sometimes.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Would you agree with that, Jay, or no?
Jay was not listening to L word.
No, he's
like,
Jay's
Jay's lighting a blunt for me.
When you say Jay, I'm thinking him.
No, I meant you. You know, like there were definitely little times where just statements of, and it didn't even go that far. It might have been just a thought of like, well, if more viewers want this, shouldn't we just go that direction instead? And I think we always came back down to reality because it's like, bro, the second we're doing something that we don't want to do,
Resonant too.
but we're doing it just for like views and shit, it's gonna come across as disingenuous. People are gonna know that we're not loving it. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yep.
Like we're not gonna talk about something or have a guest on. We tried it once and it was the worst episode we've ever done. The Bartholomew Town dude, bro.
What was it?
There's a guy in Providence that has a
Let's
podcast.
let's
and
not.
it's just
Yeah.
off the wall.
Well, the
Well,
largest
no, it's
podcast
just it's
is
very different than us. You know,
Yeah.
he's got the. If you like search the biggest or best or yeah, or the most successful podcast from Rhode Island, his would come up all the time. So like me thinking like, hey, let's leverage his following to us and everything like that without even really knowing who the guy was or being interested in him. We had him on our podcast. And
like a guy.
Don't be a dick, bro.
Don't be a dick.
We're plugging him. We're giving him advertising.
I know, right?
We're giving him free advertising. How is he going to be mad about that? He's
was
running for
probably-
president?
Is he?
God, I hope not.
Who's Steve LaFell?
No.
Laffy Taffy.
Wow, these are the blunts have came a long way, huh?
Dude,
It's actually like
Look
really
at that
pretty
shit,
nice, right?
bro.
It's
Look
like,
at that.
This
Well,
is
it's
made
always
with
in a real
CBD
leaf.
leaf too. It's pretty cool.
It's always in a real leaf. You didn't put the leaf back on it when you roll your own blunt.
I'm good.
No, I'm saying like
Ah, shit. So
this looks like a
Yeah,
leaf
that's
that you
enough,
find
man.
outside. Like it's
That's where he got it. He went through my lawnmower.
this is
and
like
just
some
packed it
Indian
together.
shit. This is like banana
well,
leaf.
bro, have you gone to them? Like they're we're giving them free fucking publicity.
No. We don't even know
No
where you got it. We're
farms?
not gonna.
I'm
Yeah,
saying it's
hey,
Nova.
Is
they
it?
ain't paying us. They ain't paying us.
That's what I'm saying.
Good.
Nova Farms,
actually-
if you'd
yo,
like to
that-
get commercial.
That would actually be we just got we just got our sponsorship packet too. Let me show you, Jay. Nah, we just had this
Who is
thing
that?
built
That
up.
looks like Kurt
So
Cobain.
we have, now at least if we're gonna,
Somebody's gonna go
at least when we go to talk to business owners about it, you know what I mean? Like we have something tangible to present and show them.
Like sponsorship packages.
Like people that want to sponsor us.
Like Rich.
There's no hints here at all. If there are random solar company owners listening to this
Listen,
right now,
the one thing you messed up
specifically
there.
targeting Rhode Island,
The one thing you messed up is Smart Green is not no random company, bro.
It's funny.
That's right. We're the big fish.
We'll help you with this.
You have my topics.
Throw it in there.
My
What?
topics are in there. Like the next thing
Topics?
to talk about.
Oh, you need this. My bad. Sorry about that. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. So listen, it's funny talking about Indians. If you have that shit, you need to
I
find
agree,
somebody in
it's
Upwork and
hilarious.
say, "Hey, listen, reach out to local freaking partners and message them to do that." You'll sell out like crazy. The only thing I would do differently is, quite honestly, I would charge 3 times to 4 times what you're charging, so you have
I
enough
like
to
that.
pay somebody to do the job. So I would charge 4 times what you're charging than what you're doing, and then I'd get like
somebody to market
all it is. All they have to do is think about how easy it is. All they have to do is follow Rhode Island businesses and say, "Hey, it's a local podcast." It is so hyper focused that it's the easiest thing to work. You understand what I'm saying? So honestly, all you got to do is go back on Upwork or Fiverr and find a guy for $15 an hour and say, "Listen, you got to get me at least 30 sponsors if I hire you for $500." And they'll say, "Okay," and they'll get you freaking 10 to 30 sponsors.
wonder if
All
you
they'll
could-
do is they'll
That
just
seems
copy
like something
paste.
that we should do, though. No?
Okay.
he's like,
Yeah, you want to. He's like, all right.
Yeah, stupid.
Don't
Why?
don't trust what a millionaire
It's
says.
like me going. It's like me going. You know.
So let me ask you,
Hold on.
when-
It's like, hold on. Let me explain to you. You
Sure,
tell me.
sure.
Should I let the 279 people have working for me work and me give them direction, or should I be the one working?
Great point. Can I counterpoint that?
Yes.
When Smart Green was in its infancy stage, right? Were you out there closing deals yourself?
Absolutely, because I'm building a program.
Right.
But if you've already built the package, then that means the program's built.
We haven't
Now you
sold
need
any
to
ad
sell it.
space yet.
Well, that's different. Sales is just lead generation. That's what I'm saying. The guy's not going to sell the job. The Indian will just send out a bunch of fucking messages to people until someone says, "Yes, I want to talk to somebody." And then he'll say, "Great, let me put you in a candle with Joshua so he can talk to you and fucking tell you how this market
How's he going to reach out to them?
Just
email.
Not even email marketing is the easiest you could do that. But even then,
So really, it's
all
just
about-
getting the data.
Well, not
You
even.
can pull,
from
the
the-
list of Rhode Island new businesses.
Or
then-
forget
and then
that.
put it right
Hold
into
on,
my high
hold
level
on.
account.
Even better. Hold on. All they would do. Listen. Yes, you can.
Yes, I
not
can.
your high. Oh, you already. Did you buy your own?
I have my
separate
own.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, hell yeah. That's what
Hell
I'm saying.
yeah, bro. I can just
Well,
put.
you gotta build
I
a
can
high
probably
level-
import the fucking spread list
Well,
spreadsheet
Joshua,
and
first
then
things
import
first,
it.
you need to build a high level for this company. You see what I'm saying? Like, this podcast is a company because at the end of the day, you should just be buying lists of people in Rhode Island and blasting out for email marketing for fucking, like, do you understand how cheap it is to buy
nothing.
email? You 234 fucking followers. You'd be up to 2,000 before the end of the year. If all you did is just did fucking buy 2-cent leads, because you don't even need their phone numbers, right? The most expensive thing to buy is phone numbers. Fuck the phone numbers. Just buy
the email?
emails for marketing. Emails are a penny an email.
So that you see the difference is
Interesting.
I have my own high level. I have one sub account. It is solar.
Yeah.
This would be the next sub account.
Exactly. And you
Podcast.
know the third sub account, if you want to create right, is the business you want to open, which is the
Party.
the
blow up dolls.
No, the podcast.
no, the podcast. See, he's listening. The podcast studio.
blow up
The
No,
podcast studio shouldn't be
yeah.
its own high level because it'll be
No,
to
that would be
reach
the
out to
same.
business. No,
It would be
because
the
you're
same.
gonna get. Listen, no, hear me out.
Okay.
This one is because you're
Shut the fuck
marketing
up.
to sell for your podcast personally. The other one is for the podcast
space.
business.
So it's
when you make this work, you say, listen, come join me. I know how I can blow up your podcast to 5,000 followers because you're already figuring it out on the other side.
One is just an influencer account. The other one is teach you how to do this account, like a business account.
Well, the other's a business account, and it's not teach you how to do this, but they hire you, so you build it for them. So then you create another one for them and another one for them. That's the whole point of fucking High Level. You're duplicating the things and doing that. I want a percentage of the company because I gave you the whole fucking idea. And it's recorded.
What's
so
up?
nobody
What's
can
up?
fucking say it wasn't recorded.
Shit.
It's all right. We do edits all the time. We'll cut that out.
This is the one time we're gonna edit.
He's like, I want out. And then it's like, Jay's gone. And then he's come back like, and then India. You know, it's like, hey, this podcast was only 3 minutes. I don't know why we just
I
recorded
need you
3
to cut
minutes.
out everything after High Level.
We had a technical difficulty.
No,
The
that's
difference
actually
is-
that is. I never even thought to buy data and spam the podcast, bro.
I do that now. I get lists of Rhode Island new businesses and send it.
So
What
we
the
don't
fuck?
even.
That's where you'll send the podcast. Like if you're looking for a podcast space or a place to hang out or a place to meet, we have a space, and you could just you just got to build a nice message around marketing, right? And send it out. Look, podcast and video.
ChatGPT.
You could do that through High Level.
Think about it this way. Yes, easy. It's easy. It's the whole point of fucking High Level. You know what I'm saying? Like every business should be like,
Yeah.
I'm building my own personal brand on High Level right now. Why not?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Once you build it out and you have all the content, that's the
I'm
point
literally
of
in
using
the
it.
currently fucking. I work on 3 different High Levels now. The CIT one, the West one with him, and then my own personal one. And then we'll start one for this, bro. It's such a crazy tool. It's a wild
It's amazing.
tool.
It's
so cool.
it's like it's.
I gotta go to like through high level training, like
Yeah.
like deep.
I'm saying, think about it this way, right? It's funny. I'm not kidding when I
Well,
say
now
this.
you're lucky
I'm
because
looking
now
at
I have
High
a
Level
vested
as-
interest in teaching you for free.
Think about it this way, okay? I have High Level. I'm thinking about High Level in some ways for my personal contacts. Like I'm trying to get my contacts down and open it. Imagine having all your contacts where you could say, okay, all of these
Are
are
you saying
tagged
contacts
golf.
or contents?
Contacts.
Oh, okay, so
My
you know
phone
all your golf
contacts,
friends.
right?
Yeah, bro.
So then I could say, hey, text message everybody in my golf group to say, hey, you guys want to golf? Like instead of fucking trying to find who can I golf with
Scroll,
100,000
him.
Interesting.
Then
family,
starting
right?
a group
Hey,
text, yeah,
you're
yeah,
on
yeah.
my family group, so now every time I send out a message to like a party, it's like the family group. So I'm like honestly looking
Wait,
at High Level as like
Can't you do that
Smart list, baby.
straight from your
Exactly,
phone? You can
that's
do
what I'm
that straight
saying.
from your phone too, right? Put them in groups. and
Yeah,
just-
but this is way different because you don't want to just start a new group text every time you're dealing with some specific like this. What he's explaining right now is you have a list of 2,000 contacts. Out of those 2,000 contacts, in your CRM,
Yeah.
42 of them have the tag of golf in them. So now you just click on golf and you say, hey guys,
Right.
I'm going to be in Florida playing for these 3 days. Who can get away to golf with me?
Oh, right.
Versus scrolling through your shit saying, oh,
Picking
Jim's
out,
golfs.
like, and
he golfs. And now
even
you
if
got,
it's on your list, you have to still click all of them, move them to do this.
But they get an
I can
individual
automate
text,
my,
too.
and automation. I can automate the whole thing.
Let me ask you something. So other than High Level,
Hey.
what's out there as a CRM?
Oh, there's 100.
Happy Valentine's Day text for all your friends.
Exactly, right? Yeah, hell, you know what I'm saying? Think about it, how much you would engage, and like, because that's what happens to me, right? Like, I don't send anybody any fucking text. If you send me a text, my rules, if you send me a text, I'll say I love you and I appreciate you. Outside of that,
true.
look, I don't have
you
time
doing?
to go fucking sending text to everybody so they feel like
get
I
your
love
own
them or
nice-
not in like Christmas just to say a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not my style. I'm saying like, look, I love you because
You're
I
like,
love you.
nah,
If you
you
need me, I'm
respond,
there.
yeah.
But I'm not like trying to be a fake friend.
I will say that's true, man.
Interesting.
That's true. You're not telling any lies. You want to grab your own ice? I don't want to.
No, I gotta drive. I gotta keep smoking and keeping it chill.
I gotta drive. I gotta keep smoking. Smart. All right. So where were we?
Damn, now I got to get you lists. I didn't even think about that. I actually have this list.
Yeah. And I mean, so we even got sidetracked, but the way the
No,
Indian
let's
person
go.
would do it, or like the person you find to do social would do it, is they would chase the hashtags. So obviously, if it's a local restaurant, they put hashtag Rhode Island or hashtag Cranston. So he would just chase all the hashtags. And if there was a person posting, they're the ones looking to advertise, right? That's what they're posting. So they're the most important that if he inboxes them to say, hey, there's a local podcast. It has a 2,000 person following. They're all in Rhode Island.
So
this
what
is
would
the
I
best
search-
one for you to advertise.
What would
You're
I
going to
even
get a
search
lot
on
of
Upwork
customers.
for that? Like what am I looking for?
Podcast marketing or
Marketing,
like,
really,
yeah,
kind of.
exactly. Or
Email marketing, probably.
Email marketing
or like
is probably
social
the best one.
marketing, right? Like you're like
something commercial.
influencer marketing. It's one of these things. You see what I'm
looking for
saying?
that.
And you'd find, look, when you start looking, then you'll find, right? Like the minute you go in and put influencer marketing,
It'll
Upwork
show me the
also
closest
gives you
things.
other ways to like connect. Like if you're looking for this, you're probably also looking for this. You see what I'm saying? So I would start with podcast marketing and see what comes up and then go from there.
I'll send you a link to my.
Listen, man, if you sit with me, you're always
That's
going
why I
to
love
get like,
sitting with you, bro.
feedback.
Man,
I'm over here thinking, like here, and you just take us to here, bro.
Yeah.
Started.
I don't know
within 2
how to do
seconds.
anything less than millions a year.
Well, then why do you think we invite, that's why we invite you on, man. All right, so I want to skip a little bit though, because there are a couple of things that I did want to talk to you about.
So, anyways, let's connect the whole thing, right?
let's
so we
co-
came back to
let's connect
India.
everything. You came
Here
India.
to Phoenix in India.
Agawam. We're already at Agawam.
Then I went back. Then we came back.
You went back
we
again
to,
after Agawam?
No. After Phoenix, we went back. Came back to Agawam. Then we settled in Agawam. I went to Agawam High School. That was
But
2
at this
years.
point, you've been in high school for what now? Like 6 years, dude?
No,
Like,
two,
okay.
two, because it's
You're
like
like, I
back and
skipped a
forth.
grade, then they helped me
Because we
back a
skipped
grade.
in summer. No, so I skipped a grade. So that's basically what happened, right? Then I normalized in essence. Like I skipped a grade, okay, and then I did the 10th grade there again because they didn't let me skip a grade. And then when I did 10th grade here, I came here and I went to junior high here. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So and then junior and senior were the 2 years I went to Agawam High School.
Makes sense. And then after high school, you went to where? Bryant?
Nope, I left to go to UMass Dartmouth. That's
UMass
how I
Dartmouth.
moved to this area.
that's where all the
I am
mechanical
now.
engineers.
Exactly. Yeah, UMass Dartmouth had the best mechanical engineering
UMass
program.
Dartmouth. That's a popular school around here.
That's a party school, right?
No, actually, believe it or not, like Amherst was the party
Amherst, yeah,
school.
Amherst.
Amherst is a party
I
school.
forgot.
So it's funny because I wanted to go to Amherst, but my parents were like, "Oh, Amherst is close.
They're
It's
like,
only
nah,
40 minutes.
that's a party school."
You can come. No, they don't know. They didn't know any of
You
that.
could live at home.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. Like she was like, "Oh, if you go to Amherst, it's only 42 minminutes, 45 minutes. You can
You're
just
like,
go.
you
You
know
go
what?
from home. Like I'm going to Dartmouth.
I want to go to
He's like, I'm going to Cal. like Cal State.
So I went to UMass Dartmouth. That's
Did you
how I
ever
moved to
use
this
your
area.
degree in mechanical engineering? Did you ever
I didn't finish. I just went for 2 years and then I dropped out. to work full time in
$100
alarms.
a day. Work is like play, baby.
Exactly, right? That's what's
And
up.
that's where it all started. It's funny because, like, anytime you make that little segue into like, oh, I started with alarms, I literally could look at you and be like, and the rest is history, like.
Because you know everything
yeah,
beyond
like,
there.
we know all there, but that's wild. So, like, specifically, right, you basically, since you dropped out of college, I mean, how long were you working in alarms and it was a sales position? But how long did it take until you kind of made it your own? But before, at what age would you say you became an entrepreneur versus an employee of somebody else?
Well, I mean, entrepreneur. I mean, I was running my dad's convenience store when we moved back here in Agawam. Actually, we skipped the whole part of there. But when my dad came to Agawam, he bought it like
Do you want to talk about running your dad's store? When did that happen?
Hell yeah, I'll talk because that's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
actually where the entrepreneurship became.
Let's
You know
go.
what I'm saying? So
Did that happen
look,
before or after college?
No, before, right? So when we moved here
okay.
in Agawam, Suffield, Connecticut is like a town over into
Before,
Connecticut.
so while you were in school, like high school, you were a kid.
Yeah, exactly. But while I was going to school, throughout the school age, I was working at my dad's convenience store. So I would literally leave school and then go to my dad's convenience store.
That's that
work with
immigrant
him.
mentality too, man. They're like, no, fuck it. Our kids are going to work for us. I don't care if they're 13, 14, 15.
He didn't have any employees. We were the only employee. He would start at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Did you get
and
paid?
Then, huh?
Did you get paid?
Oh, hell no. You're fucking family business. You don't get paid.
I got
paid by having a
We got
roof.
paid at dinner.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they were awesome for me.
But
like,
that's I really love what that instills into a family. You know what I mean? Like that is what it should be. Like, hey, everybody's helping to make sure that we have this.
Exactly. And the reality is, look, again, it builds your character, right?
100%.
That's what's happened to me. I've never cared for the pay. I've always focused on the work at hand. But whenever I've done the work at hand, because I was taught to do that first, the pay has always come with it.
The
You see
pay
what
is
I'm
like a
saying?
result of the work,
It's always what I say. That's why I don't chase the money. I think it was probably the best lesson I could have learned, how to hustle and work hard and become good without getting paid. You see what I'm saying? It was the best thing. Like everything I do because, look, same thing. What I just gave you for information, believe it or not, the reason I'm sharing all this with you is because I'm trying to build my earned life brand, right? Most other people, because if they're worried about pay, money, and opportunity, they'll think that me giving you all the content I have is me stealing from myself. Like, oh, don't give them all that stuff because you're trying to do it too. Which means if they did it, they'll take something away from you, right? You understand what I'm saying? Right? But for me, I don't give a shit because it's not the money.
Well, I think
I want to
once you
do the
learn-
right thing, and I want to do what helps everybody around me succeed.
Yeah.
That's the culture that we come from.
And once you learn too, like there's in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to all money and success in life, man, there's so many pieces of the pie to go around. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to like gatekeep any little success that you have. Like just on a smaller scale, like we have people that do podcasts where we love to have them on and we love to help promote their shit. You know, because just because you like them doesn't mean you're not gonna like us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's my point. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. It's funny because people that succeed and grow, they understand that, right? Like, look, you know, it's plenty. There's plenty for everybody.
I find that kind of admirable about you, Jay, and I'll say this openly.
And Josh.
No, Jay, is the fact that, and I was thinking about this the other night, like, so it's not like you just have a regular employer. You're actually looking out for the best interest of your whole fucking team. And I find that so admirable, man. And I'll say that to your face. I'm just like, wow, you know what? This guy actually fucking cares. It's not about just the money with him. He's actually trying to level up everybody from the bottom up. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy and awesome. So thank you. I don't know where that came from, but I just a thought in my mind.
No, that's cool. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me because, look, I'm glad you see that because the reality of things is, you know, look, I'm not doing it out of favor or need. I'm doing it because I'm trying to build something to $1 billion. And for that, I need people to step up and do more, okay?
So crazy.
Look, that's the difference. The difference is if I am focused on what I want or what I need, no fucking way do I build that, okay? But if I focus on what my people want and what they need and keep giving them those resources and providing them support and giving them love and keep on telling them, dude, it's all good. You got this. Come on, dude, you got this. Come on, stop it. You got this, okay? That's where success comes. It's, look, we're such terrible people because we treat ourselves the worst.
I see it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've got so much beef with myself, dude. I've got no beef with nobody like I got beef with me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
you're
saying,
like your
dude?
worst
Every
critic.
fucking day, it's like, I'm like, fucking you suck at this, you suck at that. And then I gotta fucking stand in front of the mirror after I beat myself for 30 minutes, for another 30 minutes to say, fuck you can beat this shit, fuck that, right? But the reality is, dude, look at all of us. Like, who beats us the worst? Us.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
I
that's
say what
it.
I say. Coming from, again, I always bring this up because it's like the 1950s still working in manufacturing. It's like these CEOs and
It's just like shut the fuck up and work.
Yeah,
shut the fuck up and work.
They
You
don't
need
give
PTO,
a flying
fuck you.
fuck about you. Like they don't
PTO's
care.
denied, I don't care.
You're just a number on their fucking balance sheet or whatever the fuck. Like, so like coming into this culture, and obviously thank you, Josh, for bringing me into it.
You're welcome.
It's bro, it's like culture shock. What we were talking, I'm serious, man.
Exactly.
It
And look,
really
that's
is.
the difference, right? Because all those CEOs, they're working for money. You
Yeah.
understand that? Their final outcome is how much cash do I have? What do I leave with my family? You see what I'm saying? But the reality is, I'm working for my social experiment. What happens if you bring a bunch of leaders together, give them space to grow, share your values, and see what you can build from there?
They're going
Because
to
to
flourish.
be honest with you, that's what I'm building. So to me, it's the same thing I say. I need to hold this sort of like culture together, right? And this business together, not for the sake of money, but sake of this for social experiment. Because to me,
Would you say that's the biggest value that you bring to the company is making sure that that culture just runs deep, so deep where it's like we've talked about this before. If you come and try to work for Smart Green and you're not on board with the culture, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to buy in fully and genuinely, or you're going to be like, I'm out of here. This shit's crazy.
perfect. That's it. Look, you know, it's the same. Look, the culture hasn't changed. It's one thing that, for some reason, I don't know how it stuck with me, what book I read, because I can't specifically point to it. But I've always, and I've seen it work, right? It's not like what I'm doing isn't something I've done for the last fucking 20 years of my life, right? I did it with Alliance.
literally.
I did it with anywhere and whatever I did. It was always based on culture. And that culture was always, we are going to shoot for excellence. We have
Leadership.
great people that can learn and get there. And we're going to push everybody to their fullest potential, okay? The only difference is in the past, my focus always was just work-related success because I didn't know any better. I didn't have a family. I wasn't a father. I didn't know what all that felt like. So in some ways, that's what made me a poor leader, okay? Because of my lack of experience, not because of my, willingness to learn,
When
right?
you say lack of experience, you mean relating it to or executing it beyond just work and business.
Well,
Like,
exactly. Like
implementing
I
in your
didn't have
personal life.
I didn't have a family, so I didn't know what losing a family would mean like. You understand what I'm saying? In sense, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you gave too much to your job and you're not giving enough to your family, like your wife and your kids, you know, the unevenness of that, I couldn't understand that, right? You know, somebody would tell me that and I could comprehend it, but I couldn't feel it and
relate.
empathize
There was
it,
no
right?
empathy there,
So there was
yeah.
no empathy to be like, dude, why would I ever want somebody to work 70 hours and take that time for their family? I don't want fucking people to work 70 hours. I
back
want
in
them
the
to work
day,
40 good.
yeah, you'd be
And in the
praising
past, I'd be
somebody for
praising
70
somebody for
hours.
working 70 hours,
To
right?
be fair, at one point, I think I got like a gift card for having the most hours worked in the company 1 month.
Yeah,
And I'm like-
because it was like,
I don't
we
want
would
that again.
reward that
Yeah,
culture,
yeah.
right? We would reward that culture to build that culture because I didn't know what the other side of it was to now be like, no.
Chill
I
out,
don't
man.
want Josh to be here for 7 months, burn out, put his life at risk, and then take 4 months off to catch up from all that shit, to then miss this because this is the only place where he truly felt successful because somebody was deeply building this fucking crazy goals in him that made him feel rewarding, right? People were addicted to Alliance.
Yeah.
You understand that? Because we were the only ones that were showing them clearly how to win. And when they started winning, because we were calculating their measure of success, and they couldn't find that anywhere else in their life, they would fucking give up everything. They would give up family, they would give up fucking addictions, right? And then the minute we let them go, they would fall back to the addictions or the bad behaviors or lose their families. Because again, it wasn't out of ill intent, but it was just we would give them something that was so rewarding.
It's literally a culture. It's you're part of a culture here. You know,
The culture
that's
was
what I mean.
progress.
So these CEOs, CFOs, whatever, leaders out in the manufacturing career line, they go to school to learn, or let's say they go to seminars, or because I've been through them, they go to learn leadership where you're actually doing it. It's not
well, to be
something
fair
that-
though, it is something you learn.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something
Okay.
that you just have because you've read and watched and done whatever you can to be a better leader. Like the book you and Crystal, Scaling Up.
Yeah.
Those are just like little examples on how like you can have some leadership qualities, but don't get me wrong, leadership is not something you either have or you don't. You can learn and be better at it by
Leaders
and
are
grow.
not born, they're created.
Well, here's what I'm saying. So, like other CEOs, they learn about it. They just don't do it. There's so
You know what,
in
they
Smart
probably
Green, there's
learn how to-
application.
Well, it's a lot
Which is-
easier. It's a lot easier to not do it.
Like they're just doing it to build their resume for the next job and like or whatever or like to say I did this.
But you know why that
Where-
happens
Well,
though?
because they're trying
There's
to climb ladders.
application and-
You know what
right,
I'm saying? They're
but
trying to
it's-
climb ladders. So they're just trying to put all the
This
pieces
is the first
together
time in my life
to get to the next ladder. You see what I'm saying?
Outside of the military, this is the first time in my life where I'm actually seeing leadership being applied in action, not just, oh yeah, hey, leadership's good, and then you walk out of the meeting and nobody gives a fuck. It just dies right there at the door. It like Jay's building a culture where it's applied all the way through the ranks, and I find it fascinating. I find it because the last time I saw that was the military, and that was the most well-oiled machine that I've ever worked for.
U.S. government.
Yeah.
Well, because look, that's the point. Look, the reality is I've studied that.
Yeah.
I've studied
That's
what the
funny. Do you
military
remember
structure
we were
is, the culture
We were
is, and
talking
everything
the other
else.
day about it. And how
Exactly. Listen, the reality of things is in the grand scheme of things, you're right. It's application that matters.
Yeah.
And look, leadership, like I said, leaders are not born, they're created, right? But look, some people are blessed. I'm blessed to come from the culture I come from. Because look, culture plays
You
a
had
big part about
almost like a head
leadership,
start.
right? Because think about it, Sikhs, okay? Our whole culture was built around, we were derivatives of Hindus, okay? And we were built as a protecting caste to help the Hindus when the Muslims were attacking them in the old cultural days, right? So the reality of things is by just coming from that, hey, you need to be a leader, you need to, protect people. And then we would serve when we go to our culture. If you come to our church, it's open to anybody, okay? And one of the biggest things my mom would make me do is she would make me go down and serve the poor. So when it's open to anybody, people would come, like homeless people would come, things like that to eat, right? So it gave me such a perspective on life because no matter what I had, when I served those people every Sunday, it made me understood people that didn't have legs, people that didn't have home, people that had torn clothes, people that were just trying to steal an extra piece of bread so they can hide it in their things, while there were people yelling at them because it's for them to eat here, not to take it, to see how two sides of the world can be, hating on each other, to look at that. So just seeing that every day and allowing to have that, like, no matter what I had, I always felt blessed. That's how I built my positive attitude.
It's all perspective.
And it's all perspective. And I'm so blessed because I think that was what I was able to, like, even losing a father, still be able to go through that. Because before that, when I've seen people that didn't have father, right? Because like there'd be beggars that just be like, give me an extra bread because, we don't have a dad and we don't have a home and we don't have a place to go and my kid's sick and can you give me an extra bread that I could take home? But like that was so surreal that like, I felt like that made me be a better leader to say, like, I've seen people with so much less that I've always had more than those people that had less. So, like, from there, like, I've always seen, like, and I've seen it like my duty to pull people up, right? I've seen it my duty from day one to, like, see people and say, hey, how can I make people better? How can I heal? How can I, provide care? How can I support, right? So those are the things that I feel like, thank God to my, like my parents, they may have not had a lot of money, but what they gave me in values, okay,
it's worth so much more,
created infinite value, right? Like thanks to their value, I'm going to create something so invaluable, okay, from those values, right? So honestly,
You have,
all I try to do every day is give my values because I'm saying like I can't fathom somebody who could take my values and what they can do from where I'm keeping them, right? Like if you're working with me these days and you're doing anything, you're making good money. Imagine like coming from nothing and just taking your values and building a business that's gonna go to $1 billion. I wanna see somebody take these values and build something for $100 billion, right? Like nothing would make me more happy because to me, it's about the value, not the money. I've never led with money. I've never cared for money. Money is just, to me, it's a measurement, right? Because if I'm building leaders, the money should grow anyways, right? To me, it's the money's, fuck, who gives a shit? It's a piece of paper, right? The reality is the fucking people that I'm building through this thing, the families, the homeowners, the business owners, the strong mind.
You changed mine and my family's life. Like it is what it is. 2 years ago, we were a family of 4 in a 700 square foot apartment. And this is just a small indicator. Never mind like, what the next steps are and what we're building now. Just our day-to-day has been directly affected by the opportunity that you gave. And it was never, I appreciate it. What do you mean you appreciate it? I appreciate it.
I mean, listen, you understand.
That's humble attitude.
You're welcome, Jay.
No, but listen, I appreciate you because you understand, Josh, that's all I do this for. Like, it's not the money. Like, that what you said there to me, words of affirmation, right, for the work that I put in. Like, I work 12-hour days because I want to give that to everybody I ever connect with. You see what I'm saying? Like, you saying that means more than money can ever mean to me. You see what I'm saying? Because that's it. That's what I wake up for. To create more opportunities for more.
And I'm not the only one. There are a lot of us.
Exactly.
I love talking to the guys that we work with, and they're the first person, like Kevin, to buy a home in their family. You know what I mean? The first person to own a home.
Yeah.
Or like Chris obviously has been able to change his life for the better. Like so many of us, bro. Everybody. Go ahead. You want to?
Well, I was just going to add, and I guess that's what really separates you as a leader from, let's say, your other CEOs out there, and I've experienced them. It's the morale in manufacturing is so horrible because you're just a fucking number, like literally, and they treat you like that. You punch in, you punch out, you go on break when the bell rings, you go back to work when the bell rings. Like that's really 1950s.
Well,
like cattle.
So it's a different industry. I guess to an extent they're probably like maybe the structure just has to be different, but the people, because you could run a business like that. But still not have the people feel that way. Like if the people are bought into like, hey man, just like think about a football team, because a football team, the morale is great. But when that buzzer goes off, game's over, So like it's not necessarily the structure of the business, it's the people, because you could get the right people to buy into that program if you genuinely care about them. Well, I think you're just describing the difference between a leader and a fucking boss, like somebody who just has a title.
Manager, right? A leader and a manager. The manager's just trying to get to the outcome. The leader's trying to get to the outcome while making sure that his people are happy and excited through the process, right? So that's the reality. The problem is, in manufacturing, they have an excuse, okay? Yeah. You know what their excuse is? We're processing widgets. What do you want us to do? How can we make widgets more interesting? So what the fuck do you want from us? We just need to make sure enough
guess.
people show up and process widgets. Again, I'm not saying that's the solution. I'm saying that's the excuse.
Right.
So the
Excuses
reason
is just a labor
manufacturing is
force.
left behind is like, listen, our people don't speak English. Our people don't care. They just want to show up. They want to clock in. They want to create widgets, and they don't want to be bothered. Like they create, there's a sense of mentality that's created in that field because you have sort of the, you know, the immigrants that do more of the labor type work, that they always use this barrier in communication and all this shit. But the reality is it's leadership. Right? It's again,
Always.
if somebody could say, listen, I value you, I care about you, I know we got to, you know, pull widgets, but let's do it safely today and let's do the best we can, okay? That's a better way to still lead a team. And you're right. Like the problem is leadership. If we had better leadership, if we had more leadership, the world would be a different place. I think leadership should be a class that we teach to kindergartners all the way up, maybe fifth grade, because maybe it takes some time to understand what that is. But to me, that's been the reason for my success because I was able to take that early characteristic values of leadership that was provided to me to be able to serve others, to be able to create more value. Those are the things that I wish somehow I could do. Honestly, my big, hairy, audacious goal is to be able to own a school one day, to be able to provide a resource like that where we build values first before we build any other characteristics and see what kind of kids we create. You see what I'm saying? Exactly, right? Like, you know, values first. Let's build our values. Like, I get it. We're trying to run away from God and run away from all these things because we don't understand all of it clearly. But the reality of all of it is values, dude. Like, let's take that values.
Well, that's what I love about religion, right? It's funny because you talk to people about religion, man, and fucking wars are fought over it, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about religion and what it was, or what it is, regardless of what religion you follow, what you think is right and wrong, there's like a fundamental thing everything has in common, and that is just do right by whatever,
Values.
like
Right, it's
values, you know,
values,
like
dude.
morale, like do right, do the right thing, like
Exactly.
just have the right values, answer to a higher power that's gonna judge you based on who you are, and it doesn't matter what religion you follow. That's kind of like the grand scheme of things. So it doesn't even like you should never be so against somebody for having a different belief system, because when you strip all the bullshit down, you have the same belief.
Values,
it is like,
exactly.
hey, something is making sure we're on the fucking straight and narrow path.
Exactly.
So, Jay, I wanted to ask, this sounds like gimmicky, but I had it written down, so I'm going to ask anyway. How do you take so many of the successful business habits that you have, right? How do you implement them into your personal life? You know, whether it's with family or, you know, personal relationship with employees.
Yeah.
But, you know, because it's easy to sit here and talk about how measuring KPIs and doing all of these in business makes your business successful. But how do those transfer into, you know, personal life?
By doing the same, measuring KPIs, having SOPs, like doing the same things. I apply whatever I learn in business in my personal life also. Okay. And I get it. Like, you know, so many times I'll be like, you know, I'll talk to people that have great, you know, business sense, and I'm like, why aren't you applying that to my personal life? And they're like, my wife's not interested in that, my wife's not interested in this, blah, blah, blah. Like, there'll always be an excuse. But the reality is, like, stop it. Like, she doesn't want your marriage to be more strong.
Right.
She doesn't want you to
that's a good way to
communicate
frame that
better
question.
by communication strategy you have. No, you're weakening yourself because when you're going home, you're tired, so you don't want to implement it. Now you're blaming your wife. But the reality is, it's having expectations. I have expectations. We have a checklist where we go back and check those expectations as a husband, as a wife. You know, I have expectations of what I do for my kids. I have goals. I have checklists, okay? So I can do the same thing. When I check in a box at home and the satisfaction it gives me should be the same when I check a box at work and the satisfaction it gives me. So I can't change the way I do things home. I got to have physical personal goals like that are mine that I can't give away, right? And then I got to have my family goals, and then I got to have my business goals. And I have to make sure that I'm constantly working on all three of them in a harmonious way. Because whenever I've realized that one of those three things are off, okay, that's when I feel the most unhappy. That's when I have this sense of anxiety.
That makes sense.
Because I feel like, you know, yeah, great, my family's happy, but my business is suffering, which is going to put my family at risk. Or, you know, I feel like the business and the family is good, but I don't have any time for me and I'm feeling, you know, anxious. There has to be that balance between those three things, or like I'm a miserable fuck. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, like the way I've applied is I still do it. It's a challenge, right? Because things change all the time. Just like your business requires improvement.
Even if it's not a challenge, I think from what I'm hearing from what you're saying is it doesn't happen by accident. It's conscious. It's a, hey, if these are the things I want to do with my family, the same way I approach my business, we set a smart goal, we map it out,
Right.
and then we hold ourselves accountable to it after the end of a week or a month or 2 months through whatever that stage is. If I tell, for example, last year, and here I am kicking myself because it worked out really well and I didn't do it again this year, which I feel like is a bad habit that sometimes I have. Something will work, so then I don't do it intentionally again. I just assume it's on autopilot now, but what we did last year was I set a goal for how many times I wanted to go out on a date with just me and my girl. You know what I mean?
Sure.
How many times? Because, bro, it sounds silly, but when you think about it, when you have kids and life and jobs and running around, it's really easy for 6-7 months to go by and you realize, hey, we haven't been out on a date in forever.
Right.
But those are things that are really important to her. You know what I mean? So we set a goal. We had on a fucking list. We checked it off every time we did it. And at the end of the year, when we're like, hey, we did this, it felt good.
Exactly.
That's so interesting because both of you manage your time in your personal lives where I think let's say the average or maybe the less successful people, I don't mean that derogatory, I just mean that where they kind of
let's say people that feel like they're not getting what they want.
Well,
essence,
most
right?
people,
They fly by the seat of the pants. They
live
don't-
life by mistake. Like they just whatever happens, happens.
Yes.
When you're think
where
about
you're actively managing your shit.
When you're
Exactly. You have
intentional,
to.
when you're
You know what I'm saying?
intentional about
Exactly.
anything, you get a better result.
Exactly.
You know,
That's
like
it.
you just-
intentional. That's it, right? People don't.
That's a great word, yeah.
People don't do things with intentions.
Right.
You see what I'm
It's
saying?
making me reflect on my own life. I'm like, man,
That's good. That's
Yeah.
a,
The
that's
question.
a Jay
You know
trait.
what
That's
the
why
hardest question?
people like Jay are great to be around, bro, because
it's like the goat
not only-
phenomenon.
No, yeah, it's just like the energy is like it makes you
Contagious.
self-reflect. It's contagious. And it's real. There's no like
It's
you know when
genuine,
you,
yes.
You know when you run into motherfuckers, bro, that are like motivational, but it's fugazi. Like, yes, you know what I'm talking about. Like that guy will post on Facebook every day, like, "Hey man, today's gonna be a great day." You tell yourself you're the man. It's like, bro, I know you in real life. You're an asshole. Like you just mean it. You know what I mean? So like when you're actually around somebody that lives by what he says, it's a different kind of contagious.
It's a different vibe altogether. Yeah, it's definitely genuine, comes off sincere. And again, that's the difference between, let's say, when I was, a quality manager at the composites company in Bristol, and I'm listening to, like, let's say, my CEO or that leadership speak because it's almost like they have to say it versus they don't really believe, they don't have the conviction like really Jay does. And it's genuine. It comes off sincere. And that's where I don't think even the average employee that doesn't even realize that they don't even see that they take it for granted.
It's funny, right? Because look, the reality is there's multiple phases of what people do, right? First phase is when you say something.
Yeah.
You don't believe it, but you say it because you've learned it and you understand it, right?
You don't mind, right?
No, not at all. So you understand what I'm saying? So my perception is every phase goes through a few things, okay?
How do we
so
skip
the first
the biggest
phase,
pothead here? Bro?
Exactly.
No, he hit it.
okay.
Yeah.
The
That's why he's over there
first
crying.
phase, so look, any part of life, there's phases of how you learn. Okay, your first phase is you learn something. Okay, the second phase is you implement something.
Yeah.
The third phase is you understand some things, good or bad. You learn from it, and the fourth phase is
Excuse me.
you learn from it, right? Like good
Sure.
or bad. And then the fifth phase is experience because you made it to the other side. Okay. So what I'm saying is, what you are facing from your leaders, okay, coming in, they're still learning. I was built a leader for
you
my
hope they're
characteristics,
learning.
right?
You hope they're learning.
Well, I mean, listen, if they're saying the right things, that means they've learned the right things, right? Now, again, saying and doing is the experience,
Because
right?
they could be saying it because they're told to say it. Like, hey,
But that means somebody's teaching them that.
Hey,
That
you're
means
right.
at least
Fair
saying that
point.
they're
And I
valid,
say that
right?
even about
So I'm
poker.
saying-
Touche.
Exactly, right? So what I'm saying is that's just the way it is. I learned something. When I read it, somebody tells it to me. I read it in an article. I watch a show. I watch a social ad. So whatever it is, you learn something.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you apply it.
Give it him, bro.
Right, which is what they're doing.
That's
They're
the hard
saying
part.
It. Well, yes and no, right? The applying isn't
George
the
is
hard
so
part.
formal, he's like-
the staying with it is the hard part.
Oh, okay. The
Because everybody
longevity.
tries to apply it and then they don't like it or they like it and they do it for 2 minutes and they walk away, right?
Sustaining.
Case in point with him. He set his goal with his wife, he did it. But did he continue to keep doing it? Or did he stop because he hit it, right?
Stop
That's
because
the
I hit it.
difference. That's the application
Right.
failure, right? He applied it, but he failed because he didn't make it internalize it. He didn't make it part
There's
of
no
himself.
longevity there.
Exactly.
Right.
But it comes with time because look, after having this conversation today, I bet you he'll set a new goal now. So he's going to go back to that and do it again, right? So this is the
Interesting.
experience where he's building. Eventually, it'll become part of his habit that he's not going to fall off of it. He'll know it's better when I set a goal with my wife and go on a date than it is for me to not do it that way. And his experience will tell him that he'd be the fucking idiot if he doesn't do it right? So it's where I am at, right? Like my experience tells me if I don't set goals for this month, I'd be the dumbest motherfucker to make it to the other side of it because my wife will have an excuse because there's not a goal set with personally, so she can point something bad, right? But if I said, honey, look at the calendar. We're going to go away this 2 days and we're going to go out for date night here and we're going to do this here. Is that cool? Great. And when I hit all those targets at the end of the month, the way she says, thank you, you're an amazing husband, right? That value that I get, the affirmation that I get, I will never miss that by not setting that goal. Because I want to feel like a winner.
You know what that is?
So it's winning habits.
Well, that's the money. That's in business. You get the money, and that you get in personal life. You get the affirmations, and in your personal, like your own shit, you see the results. You know what I mean? Like,
That's what's called more than money. It's value.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm always working towards the highest value, not the most money. You see what I'm saying? The highest value is when my wife feels I'm a great fucking husband because I hit all the goals at the end of the month. The highest value is when my wife says, I love you. You're so good to me.
Yeah.
And how it makes me feel.
You're like speaking gold right now.
You
and I don't think a lot of people who, gold. I'm serious.
But that's the part of goal setting, though. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what people don't get. Successful people. I am successful and my self-esteem is so strong because I fucking do shit to make my self-esteem be strong. When every month my wife has a spot
where
to
other
tell
people
me
just
you're
let it
doing a good
happen.
job. When every month my kids have a spot where they can say, you're a great dad. When every month
That's
my
the
employees
result.
say, man, I'm fucking winning because of you, right? That makes me feel great about me. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? If I do great things that make me feel fucking amazing, I'm gonna make more money. How else is it any other way to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't wake up and I go, I need to make money. I wake up and I go, where can I add the most value? Because if I add a lot of value, it should turn into fucking money anyways. Because what else is value? Either it's happiness or it's self-esteem or it's money. And either way, I'm okay with those three factors because it makes me feel like a fucking winner every day.
I'm gonna tell you something. So again, in my personality, like, bro, it's so hard to fucking impress me because I'm serious because I consider myself a smart, well-rounded kind of guy. I just put it out right on the table.
Sorry, buddy. It was out. I just like trying to like put it down, but it was a bad way
I
to
think
do
for
it.
the most part,
Twisting it out.
actually, listening to
See, that's the life I live. I'm just like, I'll buy a new one. Just fucking like
You can't even buy this one. One of my best friends, he's a great carpenter. I said, hey man, I need a table for the podcast. He built us this shit.
He's
Bro.
like, you want to bet?
Jay's like, yeah.
Jay's like,
Give
I
me his name. We'll get you
I'll have
another
one here in 15 minutes.
you can have anything
No,
with
no,
enough
it's
time
fine,
and
it's
money.
bro, I think your personality is so genuine and sincere that it's impressive in the sense without like I'm not trying to like give you a hand job on our podcast, but
Do it.
Whoa. That's not what I was told. I was told I was definitely getting that. That's why I came.
I don't know.
I was like, great. I'm going to have to
shocking.
fucking jerk myself off now.
It's fucking awesome. It's awesome to be around somebody who understands and masters something that you do not. You know what I'm saying? You as a person.
Well,
So when
look,
you
it's
hear
growth,
it,
right? Like we
yeah,
all
it's
want
fucking
people,
awesome.
right? Like that's why I seek for mentors because I want people that can make me better, right? Like, and again, that journey gets harder and
Do
harder.
you have a mentor?
I mean, I look for mentorship from many people. It's not just one because it's not about look, there's people.
The podcast.
Like, I mean, look, it's funny, right? Like when you get to my place in life, like, you're looking for mentorship everywhere, not just upwards, right? We have this ability.
Yeah, cool as shit, bro.
To take value out of anything?
Oh, the garage door just opened? What happened?
I just had him open it so it aired out a little bit.
Oh.
So you try to find the value like almost in anything.
I'm saying
wherever you
that's-
can grab it.
That's self-reflection, right? Like, look, when you give rid of judgment, like I don't judge people, okay? And you forget that process, right? Like, like I don't look at anybody and say good or bad. I look at everybody and say, what can I extract? You understand what I'm saying?
How
What
can
is
I
the
use them?
value?
what
What is
value
the value can I get out of him? Right?
Those paper towels,
So
yeah.
I don't care for what you do, what your habits are, what you value, what your beliefs are, how you believe in things. All I value, okay, is if there's any value you can add in my life to make me better, stronger, faster. And I'll constantly approach you until I can find one of that. And if I can't, great. You and I will not last long together, okay?
Yeah.
But the reality is that's what truth is long term. Long term is, even when you see somebody failing, being addicted to somebody, Having compassion instead of judgment is a completely different outcome, right? Judgment is, what a fucking loser. Can't believe he can't do that. Okay? Compassion is, God, I'm so fucking happy that you've given me the willpower so I can fucking sustain things like that and not fall back to that.
Right. Not just
You know what I'm saying?
fall off the deep end.
So again, that's, to me, it's a mentorship moment. My mentor is God in, I guess, many ways, but it's just a reflection, right? Like, God is just a reflection that I reflect with to have somebody on my side, right? But the reality is, that's the way it is. I just, like, I see somebody suffering and I say, God, I'm so blessed that you're not giving me that suffering. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look, instead of like, what a loser, I can't believe he fucking lost his money and filed for bankruptcy, right? That's the judgment, right? The suffering is, man, that has to be hard. Like, I can only imagine what he's going through with his family. I hope he could pay his kids' college or school. Like, where's that going, right? You don't think about that. You think about that. What a fucking idiot. See, I knew he shouldn't have been taking those risks and he took the risk. That's judgment. That's easy, right? Yeah. Judgment is hey, what an idiot. I feel better because I feel bad for him, right?
There's no benefit to judgment, like it doesn't.
You don't gain anything.
Nobody gains anything. It's almost like a negative. It makes you feel negative because then
judgment
you feel
is
shitty
your
about
ego. Do you understand what I'm saying? Judgment is your
ego. The older you get, I'm still only 33, but I feel like every month that passes and every year that passes, I realize how fucking detrimental my ego
has been.
Still is at certain times, but also has been in the past.
Right.
Like he'll tell you, man, bro. As a 19-year-old kid, I walked away from fucking like making a lot of money, having a good career because my ego couldn't handle what it was going to deal with for the next 6 months. You know what I mean? And I think back on how many times I've made bad decisions because of my ego. So ego is a fucking killer, man. It's a killer.
But look, the reality is there's that fine balance, right? Because you need an ego. Like, in some ways, you need to know that you are indestructible for you to be able to accomplish things that are, impossible, right? So ego plays a big part in that. But then also having control of that ego is that your ego isn't applying itself in a worse place just to give itself a pat in the back for nothing wrong, right? So again, when I judge somebody, okay, that's just my ego giving me a pat in the back. Like, see, you're better than him. Fuck him, right? You're better than him. He's a loser. You're not a loser, right? But that's a worse place where you're applying ego because the boosting of that ego, the fire that ego gives you, takes away from applying your ego to the real place, okay? The real place your ego should come in is to say, bro, you're a fucking winner, okay? You can win. Look at the data and win and fuck everybody else. Don't look for their expectations. Don't look for their fucking approval, okay? You set your standards and you win, okay? And don't look at somebody else to lose for you to feel good about how better you are. And don't look at somebody's fucking, failures as your reason for, making an excuse for why you're already successful, okay? Use your ego to be the better you, not better than the worst somebody else, okay? And that's where the ego is the worst. When you're using your ego just to fucking find an excuse to say why you're better than somebody else, your ego is controlling you, okay? Because your ego is telling you, okay, hey, you could be a loser too because he's a worse loser than you. Right? But when you say to your ego, fuck you, dude, I'm the best I've been and I want to become better. Fuck everybody else. I don't want their standards. I want my standards. Then I feel bad. I'm like, man, I wish he was in my place because my ego is in control and I'm winning and succeeding. I wish he could be there. But you know what? I can see how bad that must feel for him to be in a miserable place. And you know what, man? It's compassion, right? In the past, I had ego, right? That's why when people would fail, I'd be like, good, I'm glad they're fucking failing because they need me to fucking make them successful otherwise. Now I'm like, man, I hope they fucking succeed and win because if they can take what I've teach them and if they're winning, that means they're applying some of it.
The biggest change I've seen, from what you're explaining right now, from your ego maturing, is that it's like you said before, it was always, hey man, like this company is so valuable. Everything that I've built, I'm so valuable to it. It needs me to run. Now, separating from that ego, I guess I should say having that healthy ego, is you now being more exciting and accepting and almost
wanting and needing
for people to be able to flourish beyond you and not need you anymore. Almost like almost like a proud parent, that's kind of watching their kid go and make it on their own now. And I feel like that's a big thing because as a leader, anytime you're in a leadership position, it's really easy to fall into that, like your ego telling you like, hey, they can't do this without me. You know, and the second they can't do this without you, you almost feel like your value is missing now.
Irreplaceable,
Yeah,
right?
where I
It's a
feel
bad
like I've
value.
noticed that the most improvement is, I got to give a lot of credit to Shivoni, man, over the past few years working with him, is if you talked to me 3 or 4 years ago when I was in, a meeting similar to like we're in meetings now every week, if I build something or I design something or if I come to you with a plan and then there's 4 people giving me a different idea on how something can be better, my ego would get offended, and I'd be like, no, this is my way. You find, just do it yourself, then you don't need me. Where now it's a lot easier to kind of take this feedback and just say, all right, well, fuck it. If 5 people are telling me this is a better way, it's probably a better way to do this,
Exactly. You know the process improvement cycle?
And of course.
It goes fail, learn, improve. Fail, learn,
It's just a
improve.
fucking revolving
You see what I'm
door.
saying? The best thing I look for now, okay, is people telling me why and how I'm gonna fail. Because I'm saying that's my opportunity to learn.
I can
Give
literally
me
say
everything. Give me
What is-
everything bad you could give me, because that means if I've solved these problems from 100 viewpoints,
You're gonna
I
win.
have made this product even better without even having to fail in the forward, right? Before it'd be like, you don't think I'm smart enough to have all the answers?
Like, you think you
That
know
would
more
be the
than
thing.
me?
Like,
You know more
I
than
know
me.
more than you, so fuck
Right.
you. Now it's like, you still don't know more than me. That's my ego, because I'm fucking learning at paces you couldn't fucking imagine, okay? Okay? But
Right.
there might be something you know that I don't fucking know, okay?
That might be a value.
That is of value to me.
Right.
Because I'm chasing value, okay? So tell me everything you think can be the reason why this thing fails. I understand
cherry
9
pick.
out of 10 or 99 out of 100 at times could be your fears, your anxieties, and your lack of knowledge, okay?
But that
I'm not
1%.
interested. I'm interested at 1 or 2 times that you give me something new
Right.
that I haven't thought of or understood because I haven't captured every perspective. So I'm not looking for people to before I get angry, I'm like, dude, 90% of this I already fucking know you're trying to tell me. Just do your fucking job and understand that I spend so much time learning for all of us that you don't need to waste your fucking time
Right.
with me. Now I'm like, I'll give you 1 hour. Make all the fucking case you want and then shut the fuck up and do your job. Because outside of that, you've gotten everything you can give me. The rest I already know and I'm doing a better job of fucking working hard. That's the difference between ego. Before it's like, I don't want you to tell me what it is. Now it's like, I'm going to give you a specific time to tell me what it is, okay? But I'm not giving you too much time, okay? But
Have you
look-
ever looked at somebody and like, oh, man, I don't know, their value has expired? Or
No, because yes, of course. I wouldn't say their value has expired. It's been
or
probably
redundant,
more
repetitive, maybe?
No,
Or
because there's no such thing.
refocused,
Listen,
bro.
if I had 2 CEOs, I'd open 2 companies.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? If I had 300 CEOs, we'd be in 300 different units of businesses. Okay, so value never expires.
Sure.
Okay. The only time that I've ever had anybody let go of me is because I have felt or understood that their values and mine will not align. And if that is something that I believe,
Okay,
then I cannot work with you.
Right, right,
Okay,
right.
it's not
so
about
not
value.
even expired. It's just a
Alignment.
It's different.
It's alignment. Sometimes
The
I
vision
give
is never
somebody,
gonna be the
like
same.
when I bring somebody in, I'll see them as somebody, right? And in a year, they'll prove me to be somebody else. You see what I'm saying? So again, when I bring you in, I ask the right questions to know that. That's why I have the highest retention in my business, because I will make sure that I believe your values align with mine and build systems to bring people in that align with my values. Okay?
Sure.
Now, again, there's always imposters, and then there's always people that their values
Imposters, that's a
move over time.
fun
they
word.
eventually
right?
filter themselves
Exactly,
out.
which comes from experience, right? So then we spend a year with them, and sometimes they are shining in other ways, but they're weak in their values, and then we give them another year in times, which is, hey, listen, you're shining. That means you have you have something important or meaningful in you, but can you then align with our values? Because I can show you why my values are better than anything else. But if at the end of the day, your belief system doesn't align with mine, I don't want you to be in my fucking business, okay?
It's not going to be good for anybody.
Exactly.
You or me.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter if you succeed or
It's
fail.
like a fungus or like a.
Well, I mean, look, it's like this,
virus.
okay? It's like this. I'll say to you in a stupid, dumb
fungus
way.
among
Okay?
us.
It's like you have 100 people that go to a church, 80 of them show up with the Bible, and 20 of them show up with the Quran.
Right, that's not going to work.
You know what I'm saying?
Eventually
It's
the
it's
mold
what is
spreads.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not even about the mold spreading. It's about Those
They're
20
just
people
never gonna
need their
fully
own
buy in.
church.
They're never gonna fully
Exactly.
buy
And those
into what
20
you're
people
preaching.
need their own church. It doesn't matter what they're reading. It matters about you being part of a cult, right? It's funny. People that would leave us, right, when we were Alliance, they'd be like, oh, they're a fucking cult there.
Whatever.
Okay? And I was like, perfect, good.
That's exactly what I want.
Good. I'm like, listen,
What is a root word of culture?
Cult.
what's the first 4 letters? Cult.
Yeah.
Okay? I want people to think of us like cult-like. Okay?
Yeah.
I have values, principles of success, and our
Right.
core
There is
foundation.
nothing. There is
wanna separate
there is not
yourself.
one value that we preach or practice or do or believe in, bro, that is negative. You know, like everything,
Yeah, right.
everything
Exactly,
can be
yeah.
applied to any aspect of life and get you a good result. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? It's like, how can you don't want to be a part of this company because it's a cult that's fucking trying to instill positive mental attitude, ambition, like
Trying to
leadership, like,
self-growth.
what-
Yeah, right.
What is wrong with this, bro?
Yeah, but I'm saying, look, it's not for us. That's why we're there.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's not. Some people are like, I just want to show up and work. I don't want anything. I have a busy life. I have my kids. I care about this. There's other people that have other values. Look, honestly, we push excellence, okay? We lose a lot of people that go somewhere else because they don't want the pressure of excellence. They just want to be okay
They
and
want
be
mundane.
mediocre.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't make them bad. Maybe they just want to be mediocre in work because they have something more meaningful. Maybe they're going through school, maybe going through college, maybe they're, looking to open their own business and they don't want to fucking put up a lot of energy at their current business.
Right.
Okay?
They don't want to strive.
Exactly.
They just
Not
wanna-
here doesn't mean they don't want to strive anywhere. They just don't want to strive here.
Right.
So if I push them and keep them, it's like a fucking,
Yeah.
double
But see, I'm not-
entendre. Like they're
only-
mad and I'm mad.
The only
right?
thing I could pick apart from that is because if that's true, if you were really focusing on school, then everything that we instill here would apply to you excelling at school or your own business or whatever, or your own family. Like everything that
Very
we
true.
preach is fully transferable to whatever thing you
Aspect
want to
of
do
life.
well at. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Right.
Like in order to really not seek value in fucking the culture that we have, it's almost like you have to intentionally want to fail at something. I
But
don't
I'm
know.
saying,
It's-
think about
it's
it this way,
strange to me.
okay? The reality is, some people live life like that. Some people want
Fair.
that to be the case. They just want an excuse for their failure, so they have a justification for it.
It's a
people that leave
comfortability
us,
That pessimistic mindset. Not maybe pessimistic is
and
not
I mean,
the right
and,
word.
no, it's right. It's pessimistic mindset. Okay, but look, it's circumstantial sometimes, right? So, like, I'm not saying there's somebody bad with a pessimistic mindset. If you're going through a lot of shit in your life that's making you pessimistic, sometimes it's conditional. Okay, but the reality is that's why you have to lose those people. That's why we used to have people that if you left us effectively
'Cause
and
that
you
could
were
just
going
be a
through a
timing
condition,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
You would come back. Okay, think about how many people there was a joke. Okay. That was, it's an open door here. Like people leave and then they come back. People leave and then they come back. Because what would happen is, now that I understand from
All of us.
experience,
So
right?
me, myself included.
Exactly,
Everybody.
experience-wise,
You
right?
think everybody, man.
Because experience-wise, what I'm realizing is we were so almost like fanatic, right? That it was almost like we'd burn people out and then they'd get time to get away with it and then they'd come back. Then we'd burn people out and then they need some time to relax and then they'd come back. And then we'd burn people out and then they need some time to relax and come back. Or circumstances, right? Or the other side would be like, this guy's dealing with the circumstances and we don't accept half-ass, okay? So fuck you, then he needs to go until he can come back and be the best, okay? Now today, I don't feel like that's the right way to do things. There is a balance, right? If he's fucking feeling crazy and he's going through a lot and he's the guy who's excelling, then let's take care of him. Let's hold him. Let's get him out of here in 3 to 4 weeks from him facing this problem, okay? Then letting him quit and stay 3 to 4 months into this cycle until he's rebroken and then he needs us so back that he comes out and gives it all he has, right? Like, again, dude, we were doing things that were amazing, but how detrimental it was in the moment, I didn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the experience where I'm like, dude, that sucks. Like, that feeling, that sucks.
Well, we
Like,
were doing a lot of things amazing professionally, like for the business, but not necessarily for the people.
well, I'm saying we thought we were. Okay, and the answer was, I thought just more money would be the solution.
That's exactly. You know,
Okay.
like it would, and it's an easy thing to have, because in the grand scheme of things, at face value, most people think that's everything. Most people think more money takes care of every problem. You know what I mean? But it's,
Well, look, when
it
you
takes
face
care of a lot.
adversity,
It takes care of a lot.
okay,
bro.
but look, the reality is, my business was B. Okay, it was my weaknesses, my vices, my beliefs, right? Losing your father and knowing that, if we had enough money to make it to United States and maybe get a surgery that can make him alive as an 8-year-old, 7-year-old.
I wanted to ask, man.
in a room. Okay.
That's tough, man.
You don't believe that made me drive to think if more money was what I had, I could solve that?
Well, it gives you kind of that almost like a chip on your shoulder. Like, I'm never going to let the fucking lack of money stop me from getting anything that I need.
Well, but
that
that's
family needs,
that was
you
my
know?
phase one, right? My belief systems were built around like, what I thought what it was. And that's not just there. That's the starting point, right? Moving to a new country, living in a motel, okay? That's 110 square feet, one room, 4 of us, you, your mom, and everything else. And going, man, if I just had enough money to solve this problem, okay? To being bullied, okay, in school and saying, man, if I just had this money to solve this problem, to feel this way, right? Like, my whole reality when I was built the first time was I was on this journey to say, man, I'm going to make so much money that I stop being bullied. I stop feeling like I can't take family and everything else.
You're going to have fuck you money. Is what they
Exactly,
call that.
right? And guess what?
Do you have fucking money?
And guess what? At the end of the day, well, let me finish this thought before we talk about that, okay? The reality of it is, look, okay, when I was chasing money, I built a team of people focused around money, okay? And what I got was a lot of money, but there was no satisfaction in that money.
Interesting.
Okay? Because all I was doing is chasing this thing called
The paper.
more money.
Right.
Okay, well, more money is an infinite number.
Yeah, you're never going to
More
get all
money
You're
is
never
never
getting
an
all the
end,
money.
okay?
Sure.
So
never getting all
no
of
matter
it.
how successful I became, I was a failure because there was always going to be more money to be had. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. You just never reached the goal.
Because there is no goal.
You
More
just keep
money is
moving the
never ending.
goalposts.
Right.
Because I can never have all the money in the world. So more money means I'll never fucking get off that treadmill. And that's what we chase always.
Right, that
just
hamster
more
wheel.
money. Okay, it's just more money. Not more value, more money. And the first time when I built a business, okay, because of me as a person being who I was and my weaknesses and my beliefs and my failures and my adversities that attracted me to a lot of people that wanted more money. Okay, but that's not what I really wanted, is what I learned as I grew from it and I failed. And look, this is what I love it. I felt like my first business to fail through what it did was like what God needed to give me for me to build a better thing, for me to understand the experiences, for me to build a second time, to understand that it's not more money I'm chasing, it's more value. Okay, so this time around, that's why the focus is never money. Yes, money is a indicator we'll judge the billion for.
Right.
But the reason we only talk about that in 1 or 2 specific places and leadership and all the others is because the billion is the outcome. Okay?
Right.
The journey of building unbelievable leaders is what I'm excited for, right? And that's the difference this time. This time, I'm looking for value, and value comes from people.
Right.
You understand that? There's only one place value is generated. People. Not 1 or 2 specific people. People. We all together create value. Okay? So this time, I'm looking for those specific group of people, leaders, that want to step in and help me create exponential value for them, for me, and for the fucking world.
And the result is money.
That's the indicator.
Yeah, the
right?
money just is going to
I-
follow
happen.
eventually.
It's the KPI. Money is
Right.
just if we build it 800, think about it. If we grew this year from 280 employees, leaders, right, to 500 leaders, you think that will grow or shrink us?
Well, that would fucking grow us.
Okay, so the money will be the outcome from that. We'll have over 110 million in revenue this year because that will be the outcome from that. But the reality is, my focus is on leaders. When I'm going to bed tonight, I'm worried I'm not going to find enough leaders by the end of the year. I'm worried they're not going to follow my values and understand the hard work and understanding that I have to put behind those values
Right.
for me to be able to give them that, and they may challenge it. My worry isn't, am I going to make money? My worry is am I going to find enough
find
people
leaders?
to join this church, right? Join this cult,
Yeah.
okay? That believe in what believe in, because if they believed in what we believed in, that belief is based on experience, okay? And my experience has fucking been so crazy, good, bad, and ugly.
Sure.
That
Bad
like
and different.
my biggest, hardest point is just belief. And I want people that believe to stay, and I want people that don't believe to fucking leave fast. Okay? So this way we can keep finding more people that believe what we believe in.
I mean, in a different perspective, I'm sure in your mind, to some degree, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking at like duplication of your own self. If you could duplicate yourself and have a team of let's say, or just people that believe in the same values as you, and your success would be exponentially, disgustingly large. It would be if you could duplicate yourself in your own values.
I do it every day, right?
That's
so look,
fucking
the
crazy.
reality of things is you can't ever duplicate any one person into something else, right? It's cloning. We have not gotten there yet. Okay?
Right.
But the reality of things is you don't duplicate yourself in one person. You duplicate yourself in many people.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
Because depending upon what they need from you, right? A person that I speak to, that I'm talking about family, that doesn't have family, may not duplicate those same feelings. But
Right,
it's
they don't
okay.
understand.
That's not what they want nor need. My job is to constantly give away
That's not the value they're gonna get from you.
Exactly. Everyone will get their own value. Okay, and that's funny. That's the other thing. Okay, the reality of things used to be that was the other part of my ego, right? Where control is the other part of your ego, right? Where I felt like it was my job to give you all the values that I believe was necessary for you.
Well,
Does that make any sense? That's my feeling control of you. That's where it's like, I think he should get married, because honestly, I did that to Barry. Like, I'd be like, you should get married, bro. Like, you should get married. Like, you don't know how that life is like. It's great. But now it's like different, right? Like that's my control, me saying, I want to show you a life that's better. But Barry's like, dude, I fucking love my life. Like I have no issues with my life. Why the fuck would I want to get back? I don't want that. Like why would I want to change my life? And before I'd be like, because you don't know what marriage is. You want kids. You definitely want kids. Like,
you don't know what you're missing out on.
Exactly. So it'll always be this like fight I try to put. But again, that's my ego. I'm trying to control his behavior. Instead today I'm like, Barry, you happy? He's like, happy. I'm like, good. You happy being single? Yes. Okay. So if you ever talk about getting married, I'm gonna be like, fuck you. You're really happy being single. So don't talk about that unless you're absolutely changing your perspective now.
Right.
So it's like more me understanding and being
that's
mature.
just that ego that ego maturity that we're talking about, man. I think it's great because I know you're a little older. What are you, 40, 42?
41.
41.
42 this year in August.
You're still learning little things about the ego that can still be improved, man, because I really do believe, man, once you acknowledge it and you can see it and work on it, it's almost like fucking not smooth sailing, but you get the point, like you know that you're always in control.
Think about it this way.
You can almost feel when you're making a decision, when you're doing something, you can feel like, hey, this is not me. That is my ego making that decision. Let's acknowledge it and do the right thing now. And
right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And guess what? The best part about that, what you're saying is that's the self-reflection journey, right? When you become self-aware that whenever you have a conflict or an adversity, you're not looking outward for solutions, you're looking inward for solutions, then is when the real journey begins, right? Like I've been on this journey for 2 or 3 years, okay? As you're on this journey, every year is, again, dig deeper, right? Because when you can start just reflecting on you and you let go of everybody else as your focus point, right? When you let go of judgment, when you let go of validation, right? Like needing validation for people. When you let go of trying to make sure that people find value in you, right? Because it's like important for them to find value, as opposed to you actually really giving a shit about them getting value.
That's almost
right?
like a hey.
Like it's like
you're
it's
doing
like,
it for yourself. At
exactly.
That point.
Now you're it's all self-serving, right? All of that is
even
self-serving
to the little
to
things.
the ego.
Jay,
right?
let me give you a quick example, right? I want to hear that, but a lot of people that I know, like I have my kids, I teach them to do things like hold the door, and every now and then I'll run into somebody that's just, if you do something for somebody, but your intent is to do it because they're gonna thank you for it, I don't even like that. Like I tell my kids, my son one day was like, Dad, she could have at least said thank you. I'm like, why'd you hold the door for her? He's like, just to be nice and help her. Then I'm like, who gives a fuck if she says thank you, bro? Are you doing it because you want something in exchange, or you're doing it because you truly want to do it to be nice? Yeah, exactly.
Be polite. That's
exactly, man. So like getting away from that, like needing something in return, I think is a big indicator that you're making the right moves.
Exactly. That's it. That's the self-serving purpose, right? Even to a point where like parents will make their kids open the door, but in their heart, what they're saying is, because I want that lady to think that I'm a good mother.
Yes.
Or I want that lady to think that I'm a good dad. right?
100%.
Yeah.
That's self-serving. That's your ego saying you have to make your kid do something because you're not even caring about the kid itself. You're
Right.
caring about serving your ego
That's
to say,
right.
because I want that other woman that I don't even know to think that I'm a good mother.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't give a shit about what anybody else thinks about who I am. I am who I am. And I stay with that fucking mindset.
Let me
know
ask
what
you
I'm
this, and this may be playing not devil's advocate, but just kind of the other side of the coin for a second.
The
Just for
devil's side of the coin.
just for conversation's sake. So if I do something for somebody, or I don't know if it's selfish, but is there something wrong with wanting that person to be appreciative? Or
Maybe wrong is not the right word, but
Your
it's
goal shouldn't
self-serving.
be- Your goal shouldn't be.
is
to-
that self-serving?
It's 100% self-serving. Like
What-
if
I'm
you're
saying
doing
if you're
something,
trying to teach
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question.
somebody,
Can I ask him a question instead?
go ahead,
so
sure.
let's deep dive that, right?
Sure.
So ask me the question. I'll give you a couple things to deep dive that. Go ahead. So you're saying what?
like if you're doing something, let's say you let somebody borrow money, right? You're not doing it, but you want to feel the appreciation from their end, or else eventually it would probably you would stop doing that, right?
Exactly. So did you give them money because you wanted them? Well, this is why we give people money, right?
Yeah.
Out of appreciation. But the reality is, if you're ever giving anybody money, you should be doing it based on their credit score and their ability to pay you back. So if you're giving them money without looking at a rational perspective of credit score and their ability to pay you back, right? You're giving them money, okay, to self-serve the fact that either A, you want them to know that you want them to rely on you, okay, or you want them to know that you are a man of means, or you want them to know that you could support them. But the reality is, if it's any one of those things is not there, any of those reasons you're doing it. If they have bad credit score and you know their ability to pay you back is not there,
Right.
you giving them money is what? Self-serving in many ways.
Well, I guess
In that case, for me, I'd be like, no, I'm sorry. Like before I do it. Before I'd be like, I got money. Let me consider it a donation. It's a charity. Let me do it. Okay. Today, I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I can't do that.
I think what he was asking more or less is, if you do the nice thing for somebody, is it wrong to want them to appreciate you for that?
is
Like,
that
say
too much
thank
to
you.
ask?
So I'm saying it's not wrong. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? There's never anything wrong
It's not
if you
wrong,
do something
but
nice
I
to have
think it's-
somebody reciprocate back.
But
Is
it's
it
a
self-serving?
reflection. Yes, I think
Because
so.
I'm saying from your ego perspective, the fact that you even have to think that you want something in return,
Is that self-serving?
well, yeah. Well, why does it matter to you if they fucking appreciate it or not? You know you did something nice for
here's-
them.
see-
Fuck them otherwise, right?
I
Like
see
that's
what
how
you're
I see
saying.
it. Like if somebody's like, hey, you want your money, right? Hey, I want $200 and it's not important to me. I want them $200 and
Yeah.
I don't want you to fucking tell me thank you. You appreciate me so much. You waste my fucking
Sure.
time now. I gave you the fucking money you wanted. Go away. Like you're wasting my time now, right? Like I'm saying, like to me, before I'd be like, yes, I do it because of this. I think you should really put your life in the right direction. Let me introduce you to somebody that will help. Blah blah blah. Now I'm like, listen, you want $200? I'll give you $200 on one reason. What is that? I'm not loaning it to you. I'm going to give it to you, but you can never fucking ask me for money ever again. And they're like, okay, great. Here's the money. And then if they ever ask me again, I snapshot that message and I send it back to them.
Right.
Have a good day. Right?
So-
I solved my problem because those people, and again, the problem is that's the problem, right? When you want people to rely on you, now you have fucking a million people on your back relying on you. Okay, holding you back, holding
Sure.
you down. Now, every motherfucker that you start doing that to, I did that. That's called the pleaser gene, right? The pleaser in me wanted to please fucking everybody. $100, great, make him happy. 200 a year, make him happy. Now we got 60 fucking people reaching out to me, wanting me to fucking
$100,
take care of
200
them.
bucks, 50
because
bucks,
you know
whatever.
What? If I fall in a problem, I got Jay. He'll always be there, right? Now I'm like, listen, I'm not there to support you. If there's a way you could support me, you and I can have a relationship together because I can add value to you. But if you can't support me and I got to support you and I got to add
one-way.
value to you, yeah, you're a fucking weight that's fucking drowning me. Like, I don't need that in my life right now, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll find somebody else because there's somebody else that wants to feel nice, that will fucking give you the money, that wants the appreciation. I want my freedom. I want less weight and I want less bullshit. And when I start that bullshit, it never ends. Okay?
I think I look at it more like we talked about it a couple of podcasts ago, is if we're out and I buy you a drink, right? I don't buy you a drink because I want you to say thank you. I don't buy you a drink because I want you to buy me the next drink. I just did it because it's what I do. You know, like I'm not expecting anything in
Sure.
return. I'm not expecting a thanks. I'm not expecting appreciation. I'm just doing it because it's something that I wanted to do, not because I need something in return for you. And that's where I think, you know, it gets a little, are you really doing something nice for somebody if you are trying to hold them accountable for doing something back for you? Because at that point, if you do something nice for somebody, hold on. If you do something nice for somebody, right, but you expect a thanks or appreciation or something, you weren't doing something nice. That was just a transaction. You know what I mean? You're not really.
Plus, more importantly, so your point is like, when you're doing something nice,
It's like a trade at that
it's
point.
like a trade, right?
Yeah.
But the reality of life is you never get the same people to give you the reciprocity back. That's the other thing I've learned. Okay, if I give somebody because God wanted me to give to that person,
Sure.
I don't get back from that person. God does not say, I'm going to make even trades with every person you talk to. God says, hey, for one good deed you do here, I will give you 5 good ones in other ways back to you. Okay? So the point is, if you have somebody in your life that looks for your support, they're usually not the people that can provide you support. Okay? So it's almost like egotistical to think that the people you're supporting could equally support you back. The reality is it's different, okay? There are some people I support because God has put them in my life to support them. And then there are others that support me because God has placed them in my life to support me. As long as I have enough people to support me, I don't worry about others that can support me because to me, I am strong and built to support many, okay? While I have enough that God has provided to support me. You see what I'm saying? So it's the whole balance, right? Like that's the thing. Like when I gave, in some ways, like I was so positive, but in my heart, I was like negative. Because I would be like that. My ego would be like, I gave him all this shit. He's telling me thank you one time. And then he just fucking forgot about me. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's like all this shit I did for him. Like, he didn't fucking, like, it almost became like hard for me.
It's an ego thing, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm
all
saying, right? Like, it was like.
But is
it
it too much to ask for appreciation?
Listen, it's
Too
not.
much.
Again, it goes back to the same thing, Jay. It's not too much to ask. But
Right.
what I'm saying is, if you have to ask, there's still a part of your ego that's still keeping you from that, right? To be honest with you, it's the same thing, right? It's a self-awareness journey. Okay.
Sure.
If you are self-aware enough to get to the other side, you wouldn't care to ask because you wouldn't need their validation to say it any other way. Like, I don't need somebody to tell me, hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you doing that. Because when I do it, I know God has blessed me enough to do it for him that I actually look up and I say, thanks, God. Like, the fact that some idiot reached out to me and I have enough money that I could fucking wire somebody $200 and not think twice like it's a big deal to me.
So maybe it's a
man, I'm so happy that I'm there, right?
Maybe it's a character flaw of mine because
Flaw might be the wrong word.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not a
maybe
flaw,
I think it's so. That's probably one of my pet peeves when somebody's not appreciative of something that I've done, and it's not something for.
Yeah, that's
I guess it
that's
is
internal, though.
Yeah, maybe, possibly, right? Like, but when I really, really think about it, it's like, you know what? I want that person to understand the importance of being appreciative, not for my sake, but for their sake. Just to kind of like,
I don't know.
it's kind of like teaching your daughter or your son. You want them to learn appreciation, not for just you, like obviously, whatever, but for them growing up to be appreciative for what they have.
It sounds more like an internal thing. Like, let me paint the picture.
Yeah.
You go into a gas station.
Sure.
You hold the door for the lady.
Yep.
She just walks in and doesn't say thank you.
Right.
That's
That'll
gonna
go right up
bother
my ass.
That is?
That'll go right up my ass.
See, I think that's an internal thing, bro. That to me, that
okay,
doesn't seem like.
Then why
what are you
open
gonna
that
do?
door?
Yeah,
Just
what are you gonna
walk
do?
away and let the lady
Teach
open
that
her
lady
own
that
door.
she needs to be thankful for shit.
Why
Like,
try to do something positive and get a negative feeling leaving there?
Well, because
If that's
a
the
lot
case,
of the time it's
'cause
not.
listen,
But
Does every time somebody tell you thank you?
I think that's the issue. Or
You understand what I'm saying? Like I'll give you an
that's
example.
what we were talking about.
okay?
It's just internal ego
It's the same
shit.
thing. I opened that door
Yeah.
because my mom taught me how to open the door. I don't open the door because
Right.
I want the lady to say no.
And I think that's
You know
where
what I'm saying? Or thank
right.
you,
I
right?
don't think I want them to say thank you. I think it's
You just expect them to.
I just expect them to. I think that's just like common.
But that's that ego, right? Your
Exactly.
expectation.
Yeah, bro.
You're doing
It
something
is-
with expectation. Look, you said expect, right?
Yeah.
You're doing something with expectation.
Sure.
Okay. If you're doing something with expectation, you're not doing it out of like love or appreciation
Or selflessness.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're doing it as a trade. So basically, what you're offering is a trade. Hey, if I open a door for you, I expect a thank you. Okay. That's this reciprocation that I'm
I
expecting.
think the difference is, though, is I'm not expecting it to be thankful for me because I opened the door. It's be appreciative in
Yeah, but let me ask you a
life
question,
that-
okay? So can I ask you something?
Sure.
What if that lady, right before she was walking up to that door, found out that
Mm-hmm.
she lost her mother?
What? How does that? Wait, say that again.
You understand what I'm saying? What I'm trying to explain to you is,
That was so like.
because I'll explain to you,
Extreme,
but
yeah.
that's the reason why that extreme comes. Because what I'm saying is, in your mind, you're thinking,
Yes.
she is a person that doesn't thank people when they open a door.
Right.
You're not thinking that maybe she's going through such an adversity right now that her
true.
mind is
Very
so
true.
distracted.
Like
that-
something
that
else could have happened.
Something else could have happened
Sure.
that's so
Yeah, yeah,
hard that the door opening wasn't even something she found.
Right. I would totally judge her and be like, look at that unappreciative bitch.
Exactly.
You're
my
right.
point.
But you know what,
That's
though?
your ego,
You know what that
right?
makes you
That's
is
the
that
trade-off.
okay, all
right?
right.
Well,
Because
'cause
that's the trade-off. The
Sure.
trade-off is you're looking for something back, and then you're judging her to say, look at this bitch that's not thankful that I opened the door.
Facts.
Instead
All
of
right.
the
You're
lady
right.
would walk in and mine out, then look, I was the same way. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the other way because it's like, I'm looking for validation. So I'm opening that door because I wanted to feel validated. And when I open that door and she doesn't validate me, it pisses me the fuck off. Like I'm like, fuck this bitch. Okay? Now
But I don't
when
know if it's for me.
But hold on, but listen. But
It
now
is, it
when I
is.
do that same thing,
You
right?
may not realize it, but it is.
But listen, now when I do that is I'll run up and open the door, let's say hypothetically, okay?
Right.
And if somebody walks in and they don't say that to me, my reaction is like, great, awesome, I'm glad I did that. It's a good deed that I served today and it's my job.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure,
And I just look at the positive side of that, that my job was the good deed. Not to expect another good deed back, because I wasn't trying to count how many good deeds are happening in this
But
world.
here's the thing: do I
right?
gain from her or whoever understanding appreciation? It's not like
But how do you gain from that anyways?
No. But you know what you gain? You gain the good feeling of her saying, "Hey, thank you." You gain that little
I
feeling.
guess in an indirect
Yeah, but the
way.
gain is, the point is,
bro,
the
it's
gain
just like
should
keeping
be
score. If you go
a
out
good
to,
deed.
if
That's
we're
it.
out at the bar and you buy me a drink,
Sure. Yes,
are
I
you
agree.
tracking that?
What's
Like
that?
if you were out at the bar and you buy me a drink, you tracking that? Do I owe you a drink next time?
No.
Exactly. You're just doing it because you want to do it. I
good
think you
deed.
should take that same logic to opening the
a good
door
deed.
or doing anything nice for people. If you're gonna do
But
it,
here's the thing. So
do it
in our
because you wanna do it.
relationship, I understand, and I'm totally cool with the fact that. Am I tracking it? Am I writing it down? No, but I know that you'll appreciate something like that. You see what I'm saying?
Well, you hope that I will. You can
Well, I
hope
know
and
that, or
want
else
to.
the relationship wouldn't succeed, or else we wouldn't
Exactly,
be friends.
that's
but
a
you don't.
partnership.
But you
Yeah.
don't have a relationship
You know what
with
I'm
a
saying?
stranger.
Exactly. That's
Like-
just a good deed. It's not a relationship.
I
It's
agree.
a deed.
Well, yeah.
So you
It's
can't
like, bro,
expect that to be
it's
a
like the same
reciprocating
people.
thing.
The same people, like if I'm at a fucking light or if I'm at a stop in the road and I let you go, I wave you in. If you don't wave me saying, "Hey, thanks for letting me go," there's no skin off my. I don't give a fuck, bro. Like I just felt like letting you go. You would follow them. Yeah, I'm seriously
Well,
though.
see, it comes back to
I get it, bro.
But it comes back to I'm being a good human. I
don't think
expect
it-
you to be a good human too.
All right, but I'm gonna double down on that and say if you're expecting something, then you're not doing it because you're a good human. You're doing it because you want something in return.
Yeah, but I just hold people to a higher standard.
No, you don't.
Well, that- but hold
you
on, but
don't.
that's
You're holding
judgment.
yourself to a lower standard.
No, but listen, it's like they're making the point.
Interesting
Everything
conversation.
you're saying is right. You know what I'm saying? Like, my point is, like, look, there's two things that's happening there, right? One, you're doing a good deed.
Yeah.
But two, instead of feeling good about that good deed and taking it in and embracing the good deed, like, I'm glad I let that guy go. Maybe he was in a hurry. Maybe he had something else to do.
Yeah, their negativity
You're-
brings me down for sure.
But I'm
that's
saying,
not
but hold on,
negativity.
but it's not even their negativity. You're creating a negative to make yourself even, right? So look, it's like the same thing. Like our mind is made to not let us appreciate the good we do. Okay, it's weird. Like let me explain something to you. Okay, it's a crazy thing how we keep ourselves equal, right? We'll say something like, "I hope I change the world." Okay,
Sure.
or I'm saying I'm gonna change the world, and then right after that we say, "I hope I can."
You hear that little
Right?
burp?
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you get that? Like I'm saying, our mind says, listen, don't go too crazy in one direction or the other, right? So when you do a good deed and somebody doesn't do something right, you're almost taking a negative from it and breaking your good behavior down, like it wasn't even something good you did because somebody else didn't validate it.
All right. Let me.
You
play.
see what I'm saying?
Yes, I
But
totally
hold on, but
do. Yeah,
simple
go
thing
ahead.
is like when the good deed is done,
Jay's like-
you left the door open.
Jay's just stubborn.
right?
He's refusing to take
know,
accountability
hold
on
on.
this one.
Because these guys are all assholes.
What I'm saying is,
no, I don't think that at all.
Even when
I
you're
meant the people
example,
that are like not saying thank you for
Oh.
that.
I know,
not,
but
like,
what I'm-
not these
But
guys.
even, I know, but like think about what you said, right?
Yeah.
Even what you said, okay? If you're letting somebody go by, that's commendable. You did a good deed. accept that, embrace that, just be good with that.
But I do
Don't
embrace
expect
it.
something back, right? Where it becomes a negative then, right? Like for you.
But I'm not. But my thing is right. Is for the door conversation. I'm holding the door for somebody, right? I don't feel validated when they say thank you or thank you for letting me hold the door. I expect them to do that because
No.
I'm feeling like I'm
You don't
being a good
realize
person,
it, but
so
you
they
do
should
feel
be good.
validated. You don't realize it, but you're telling us right now that that is your validation for doing it.
But like, but
you
listen,
can
you
say
just
the
last
words I don't
statement
feel
you just made.
validated, but your actions are saying that you don't feel validated unless I say thank you.
Well, let me ask. Let's
But
go back.
hold on, one
Yeah,
second.
go
The
ahead.
last thing you said was a perfect point. Okay, you said I'm being a good person, so I expect them to be a good person.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I'm explaining to you is the ego is expecting you to want them to be a good person. The reality is just be a good person. Fuck them. They're not your fucking life. They don't give a shit. Just be a good person. You opening the door is you being a good person. You let them go is you
it's
being
so
a good
Jay, when he's
person.
got George
Fuck who
like
they
that,
are.
right?
That's their problem, not your problem. You see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Fuck them. Like that's
I can't.
but
I can't help but let
well,
other
listen,
people
that's
influence on my-
self-awareness.
Yeah, I
That's
get it.
self-awareness.
Wait,
the
can-
self-awareness is when somebody can come up to you, right, and do something ill towards you, and you can just still find compassion in it somehow, right? It's the same thing I was saying to you. A woman comes up to you or somebody comes up to you and says, "Fuck you," and you don't know them. What's your first reaction?
Fuck you.
Okay, you know what my reaction back is?
Yeah,
I'm
fuck
like,
me.
Have a good day.
Hey, are you okay? Is everything okay?
Sure.
How are you feeling right now?
She's like,
Okay?
"Well,
Because in my eyes, I'm saying if some random person is coming up to me and saying "fuck you,"
They're
either they're
dealing with a lot,
delusional,
bro.
they've got me mistaken for somebody else, or they're out of their fucking mind. But either way, it's not my problem.
All right,
You see what I'm
let's
saying?
really fast rehash it. So we're opening the door. So hold on, wait. Listen.
Jay's gonna
Hold on, wait.
try to ask us 20,000 different ways so he can feel
If
better.
it's, yeah, if it's a guy,
This is
or-
very
Let
thought-provoking.
me ask you a very honest question.
Sure.
What
Is
is
it
the
really?
answer you're looking for so we can move past this? So I'm more than
okay,
happy to give you that answer.
the person's supposed to say
This is
thank
just
you.
conversation to me.
I'm just
sorry.
kidding. I'm joking. I'm fucking with you. No, go ahead.
So,
say that.
or you opening a door for somebody, how many intentions could you have?
Simple.
You could,
One.
You could have. Well, no, there's two actually.
Well,
you could be.
you are creating two.
You could open the door for yourself,
Right? You're
right?
trying to fuck him.
No, hold on. You're opening the door for self validation because you're trying to say that I'm going to do a good deed.
Yes.
Right. Or you could be actually be opening the door for that other person because you're not gaining anything at all.
You are a good deed. No matter what, it's a good deed.
But you might not see it as a good dude.
But then you won't do it, period.
No, you act. There's a thing of being really selfless and just doing something
Like what?
where you don't
just
gain.
Well, if you were selfless, you
opened it
wouldn't
without
expect something
noticing
in
that
return.
they
Hold on.
snuck in.
Can I-
You're defining a good deed.
Hold on. Me opening a door for somebody else.
How can you be selfless and expect something from others?
Hold on, wait, hold on.
I'm doing it selflessly as long as they thank me for it.
Hey, this is free as long as you pay for it. Okay?
Me opening the door for somebody else. Who benefits from that?
Both of you.
You. Nobody else. You.
Benefit on both sides, for sure.
I'm saying, what if I don't?
But how do you know it's... Well, hold on, time out.
What do you mean? How
But
do
time
I?
out, though.
You feel good
But
about
time
it.
out. If
What
it
if
was,
I don't?
Hold on.
Don't do
hold
it,
on.
bro.
Hold
But what
on.
if you do?
Yeah.
But time out, though. But
Too
time out,
late.
though.
You prepaid, bitch. Now you're fucked.
I mean,
It's
what
like-
if you
can I say
don't
something
feel
to you?
good about
Hold
it?
on.
Yes, yes,
okay,
yes.
Okay. Opening the door and expecting somebody to thank you, okay,
Right.
is like me leaving a bottle of Macallan in your front door and then Venmoing you for the fucking $200 for the bottle.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
That's the
that's-
point. It's really
it's
what
the
it is.
same thing,
It's
bro.
the same thing. You're doing something and then expecting
It's like
something
giving
in
you a
return.
Christmas present along with an invoice.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what it's like. I did a good deed. I bought you a present. I expect to get
Just
paid
pay me
back.
back.
Like,
Listen.
what do you mean you don't pay me back for it? I went to the store. I did the good deed.
I don't ever want to come
I can
across.
expect.
Yo.
I don't ever want to come across that I think that way. Like if I do something, then you owe me shit because that's not
Well,
me
but-
at all.
But that's kind of what opening the door and
Exactly,
expecting.
because think about it, right?
thank you
Realistically
is-
speaking,
Yeah.
how do you know that lady wanted to open the door? What if that pissed her off?
Oh, jeez.
How do you know that's a good thing for her?
I would
You
fucking
understand
lose
what
my
I'm saying?
mind.
Because I'm
She's like a feminist. Like I can open my own door.
Exactly. Right?
There's no
Exactly.
way. Like,
What if, like I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, the reality is you.
What if she always had a fear of opening doors and today was
I
the
fucked
day?
that up.
Today was the day she was gonna conquer
I
that
decided to
fear.
be nice
She's got
and I
OCD,
fucked
she
that up
has
for
to touch
her.
the door 3 times. Like,
She's probably thinking in her mind, look at this
Fucking
fucking
yeah.
asshole open the door for me. He ruined my day.
It was a good analogy. It seems dramatized, but the whole gift with an invoice is kind of the same concept.
Exactly,
Right,
it's
'cause
the
you're
same
doing
concept.
something nice, but
doing
you're
something and
expecting a payment.
something back, and you don't even know if she wanted the door open, right? So you open the
I'm
door.
like the biggest dickhead
You
for opening
open the
doors
door.
for
But I'm
people.
saying, no, listen. I'm saying that gesture,
It's like a door phobia.
the simplest form, right? The first layer of thinking,
Sure.
the simplest thinking is, I'm doing a good deed. That thinking should end right there. And it should be validated by yourself.
But what if that's not your intention?
Jay's never opening a door.
Then why
ever
would you
again.
open that door? What is the...
Because there is a such thing as a selfless act where you're doing it to help somebody
then-
else.
Then that's a good
That's
deed.
the same thing as a good deed, bro.
a good deed.
You
It's
just
good deed.
you the definition of good deed, my dude. You said a selfless act to help somebody else. Not a good deed.
No, because hold on, wait.
I've never heard a better
here's the
definition
difference.
of good deed.
If you probably, if you pulled it up, I think he's doing it right now.
Hold on, wait.
It's like, it's not a good
Verbatim,
deed.
bro.
It's
That's
a
verbatim.
It'll say what Jay Gotra said.
Something that's
Shut
never-
up, Jay.
It's an act that is done, performed, or accomplished.
Holy
like
shit.
opening doors.
Like not listening to a
Yeah, so
lyric.
let's remove the let's
But
exchange.
intention has everything to do
Hold
with
on,
it.
hold on. Exchange the word thanks with money.
Right.
Like if you open the door for them,
Yeah.
and expect them to pay you money for it, are you doing it for yourself or because you want something in return?
Well, I would agree with you. You want something in return.
Right. You want the money. You want the thanks. Thanks is money in this
Exactly.
situation. Like you're not gonna go to work.
And I'm saying even deeper, right? What I'm saying is you're
say it.
devalidating yourself by hoping for her to thank you
can you
to
get
get
this
you the
far?
validation. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
The real validation is you being a good person and opening that door. That's it.
Jay's never opened the door for anybody.
No, what I'm saying is, Jay, you should open the door for everybody and have you thank
That's
you.
how I
He's gonna
think.
punch the
But
person
then
in
you
the
thank
face.
you. Fuck her thanking you. You thank you.
But me thanking me, to me, that's selfish.
No, it's not.
Then
It's
don't thank
you being
yourself.
compassionate. But that's the problem. That's you being compassionate to yourself, but you don't feel like that's not okay. Because that your judgment about yourself, like I need others to validate me. If I just validated
It's so
myself, it's,
strange
not
because I
enough.
think the total opposite.
But that's why the self-awareness is.
What
right?
you're thinking is, I think you're confusing.
Like I would never open the door for me.
hear me out. Hear me.
Open the door for somebody else for me.
I
But does it
completely
make you-
understand.
Does it make you feel
Hold
better
on.
when you open the door and
Well,
somebody
hold
says
on.
thank
When
you?
was the first time you ever opened a door? Where did you learn how to open a door for? Who taught you that lesson?
Probably my parents.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, do you understand it's more of a habit than anything else?
Sure.
It's because you were trained and domesticated, right?
When I
to
taught that to
open
my
a door.
daughter.
Exactly, because you domesticated her to follow the same things that your parents taught you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality of things is you're doing it because of your domestication of this is what we do because it's the right thing
the
to
right
do.
thing to do.
That's your belief system and what you've been brought to do.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So you're doing it because it's not a good deed. You're doing it then because it's part of your belief system. So you do it for one of the two reasons, right?
Man, you really
One,
make
you're
me feel
doing
like
it for
shit.
good. And
He's never
no,
opened a
listen,
door ever again.
I've opened the door, part of my belief system, right? That was the polite thing to do when you were young. So I'm saying, look, that's just a belief system, okay? Now, you're right. What happens is when you open a door, 6, 7 out of 10 people, 8 out of 10 people will tell you thank you because they, from
Right.
their belief system, learn that that's the polite thing to say.
Right. It's
okay?
common courtesy.
But then think about it. There are many circumstances that play
they
a
don't.
part. What if you are somebody who doesn't speak English? What if you are facing a challenge in your life? What if you're having a hard time today because
Yeah,
you're
but there's
fucking following somebody else?
nonverbal communication that you can, you know what I'm saying?
But you understand what I'm saying, though? What I'm
I know
explaining
they're
to you
going
is,
through something.
what I'm saying is you don't know.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So for you to tie your feelings, okay, to the fact that their thank you is what's going to either validate or devalidate how you feel because they were being a terrible person, is all I'm saying is the second thing that you don't need to worry about, right?
Sure.
Do
No,
your
of course, I
part.
know. Yeah.
You do something good because you should do something good, and you don't. It's the same thing what I explained to him, right? Like that's what made me so unbelievable at what I am because I start with wanting to add value first. I don't talk or
Right.
even figure out how it adds value back to me, and if it does add value back to me, I stick around for a long time doing that thing. And if it doesn't add value, great. I'm like, good. I'm built to add value. I add some value, and I'm out.
Sure.
Right? Either way, I don't
Sure,
believe like it
sure.
takes anything away from me. I'm just
Right.
doing what I believe is good for me. Add value, which 9 out of 10 times brings value back, or I add value and 1 out of 10 times it doesn't bring me value back, but I'm not in that
That's okay.
situation long.
Yeah.
But hey, guess what? I still made other people more valuable, so there's something good in that.
Well, of course. I think where this is where I'm like relating the whole open door thing to it's almost like communication, right?
Exactly.
Communication is a two-way street. It's not just one. It can be one, but I'm saying when you talk to somebody, you expect somebody to acknowledge you, right? Is that selfish or is that just?
Well,
Listen,
it is.
when
Technically, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll explain a
Well, like, why are you
I'll
talking
explain
to
that
me
with
right
my
now?
wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I just sit here stoic and
Okay.
don't
Hold on.
acknowledge
If I
you,
talk to my wife and I say, "Hey, honey, I want to talk to you,"
right,
and she says, "I'm not ready."
which she's communicating back.
Okay, so what's your point? I don't understand. So if she doesn't want to talk to me, it doesn't mean that she doesn't
Well,
want
this
to
is
talk
like
to me.
opening the door. If I talk to Josh and he just stares off into nowhere and doesn't acknowledge the fact that I'm talking to him, is that a selfish expectation of me?
It's
to
disrespectful from his side.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it
Yeah, but you
selfish
started
because I'm
talking.
expecting
Yeah,
him
but
to
you
respond?
started talking. That's not.
Yeah,
you
but
didn't
I-
say you
all right,
wanted to
so-
talk to
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're
If you
saying,
had set
but
up
the
a
point that
time
we're
to
trying to
talk
get,
to
hold on, Jay, hold
True.
on. The thing there is, if you start talking to me and I'm not reciprocating there,
Right.
George said it's disrespectful of me to not answer.
Right.
It may be, even if it's not or it is. You internally are the only one that can dictate how you feel about that. You know what I mean?
True. Okay, I agree with you.
That's
there.
really
Yep.
it, bro. Like this bitch she could have something going on where she just didn't even realize you held the door, or she could say, "This asshole thinks he's getting laid for holding the door for me. I ain't saying shit to him." It doesn't matter to you. You still held the door because you wanted to hold the door.
Either
Carry
because
on.
you want to do a good
Like
deed or you're domesticated
That's
to do
where
it
the
that way.
internal like
Maybe I was
gratification.
domesticated to do it that way.
Exactly.
I
That's
think
it.
the
No matter what
emotional-
I would be going through in my mind, if somebody opens the door for me, I feel like I have that same expectation. I would always acknowledge.
So are you
the
telling
fact.
me-
Well, but
Hold
that's
on.
because you were domesticated to do that.
Possibly yes.
Definitely,
even-
yes.
Grew up
If you were taught one thing,
Maybe that's what it
which is
is.
open a door, you were
Yeah.
taught the other to go with it, which is say thank you for people that open the door. for
Right.
you.
Which I don't
It's
think there's
always
anything
the
wrong
way-
with that.
There's no one without the other. You
Right,
see what I'm
which
saying?
is my same
Which,
thing.
Look,
If I
it happens to
transmit
me all the time.
communication,
Like my
I
wife will
expect
do that.
somebody to
Okay,
respond.
my wife does that to
But
me
you
all
can-
the time. Okay,
you have
understand?
an
Watch this.
expectation, though.
My
Right.
wife will be like, "What the fuck? Open that door for that woman."
Sure.
Okay, because she'll be like, because she's so like, open the door, and I'm like, you time out. That woman was ahead of me. You wanted me to run ahead of her and open the door for her to go through. I
want
don't
me to,
see
like,
it that
throw
way.
a
Like,
lasso over her,
I'm
pull
like,
her back
I'm just
and then-
behind her. I'm gonna wait for her to go, and then I'm gonna go.
Right.
But in her head, it's like she was so domesticated of what this is. It's like you run and open a door for a fucking older woman, right? And again, that's what I've been taught too. Not with a door. You help an older lady, but now with a door. So I would help an old lady if she had an issue with groceries, because I've been always taught to help older women and help older men and help older gentlemen.
Yeah.
But I've never been said run and open a door for an
Right.
older lady.
Right,
So
right,
to
right.
her, my wife, she'll be like, "You're such a disrespectful fucking." I'm like, for all the things you know to me to be,
Like, damn, babe,
you
that's
think
a
that's exactly what
Your
you
wife
think
has
I
really
am?
high expectations.
Well, you understand what I'm saying? So she'll be like, "I can't believe you didn't go open the door for that lady." And I'm like, I didn't even see her fucking going. Like, she's like
Yeah, I'd be like,
fucking 8
I
feet
can't
ahead of
believe
me.
you didn't go open the door for that
Exactly.
lady.
If you knew all that shit, actually, that's a good point, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like funny because, like,
She's,
there's
she's
things
all
also
that.
older than you too.
So you understand what I'm saying? It's funny because it's things that validate her belief of how you treat the elderly compared to the things that validate my belief that I am less prone to opening that door for that elderly woman because it was not what I was taught. And I'm more prone to helping her carry her groceries or her cart or her food
Yeah, sure.
to the car because that's what was more relevant and prevalent in India, right?
right.
So it's funny because we are so domesticated in
You had
so
cars?
many ways of our things. Huh? Camels.
Bad
It's
joke.
camels.
Thought it was carpets.
No, we would put it on the humps.
I think, I think that was actually a really good way for all of us to look at it because from your perspective, man, I get it. It's like you almost a big problem though that I think we all have is when you expect out of other people the standard you have for yourself, which you can't do. You
Right.
can't do
You'd be constantly
personally.
disappointed.
You can't do professionally. You can't do in your relation. You can't do in any relationship because you are who you are.
Right.
You know, like you can't expect other people to have all the same standards as you do. But it's like if you ask the masses, if you ask 100 people, they're gonna say, yeah, it's common courtesy to say thank you for holding a door. But when you really dive deep into it, bro, I think you realize like fucking. It doesn't matter if they say thank you or not, bro.
It really doesn't.
It really doesn't. It really
that's the
well, it may, no, I
self-reflection.
shouldn't say it doesn't. It might, but it shouldn't. You know, I guess the word is it shouldn't.
Well, let me put it this way. It doesn't matter to you.
Sure.
Okay? So the reality is that's all it should matter to you. How it affects you. Well, we always have this thing is to us to be the center of the world, and then we use that as an excuse. So it's like, she didn't say thank you to me. She's a terrible person. We need a better people in this world because everyone comes from this experience of mine to define what the world is, right? But the reality is, it didn't matter to you if she said thank you or not, technically, unless you made it matter to you. Right?
Right. Oh,
the
yeah.
reality is the
100%.
good deed or the domestication. Like, I do this. I do it because my parents taught me, and this is my way of acknowledging my parents. So if anything, that's the belief I say, right? These are the good characteristics that I've been taught, and my parents taught me some good character. You know what I'm saying? And that came from here, or way
absolutely.
good character, and it came from here. So I look at it more from a self-reflective purpose now than anything else. Like, if I open a door, I'm like, it's important to my wife, and it's important to this, right? Not because
Jay looks
that
his
lady's
wife
there.
like, you happy? I opened the
Exactly,
fucking
right?
door.
Well, I mean, and again, I'm not doing
Now,
it to like
all you
know,
do is all you do is transfer the thank requirement from the person you open the door for to your wife.
Exactly.
You're like, I need you to thank me now because she didn't.
Oh, that won't happen. That's
Are you
crazy.
the-
You crazy? Your wife thanks you for shit? Like, what's wrong with you?
I can't answer that.
I was like,
Are you the kind of person who, like, if they don't say thank you, you'd be like, you're welcome?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like,
so
No,
validated.
no,
No,
not
no.
You need
every
the
time,
validation.
no.
You need
No,
the validation.
It's not that.
So-
It's
Makes you feel a better person.
no,
it makes
no,
you
no.
feel a better person.
I'm over
You're so
exaggerating.
good, Jay.
I'm over exaggerating.
you're the best person. You're going to heaven. You're going to heaven. Anyways, I think
Might be one of his love languages.
yeah, you don't
Words
know.
of affirmation. You like it when people say good job?
Good what?
Good job?
Be honest.
yeah,
you
of
love
course.
that. You love
Yeah.
that shit. You love that shit.
Well, no,
Aw.
I want to. I want to know my employers.
Josh, tell him he's your best friend.
He's my number one assistant host on the show, bro. He's top guy.
All right, hold on. There's a difference
He's
between
the top guy,
do I
bro.
like it or do I need it? I don't need it. It's like fuck everybody. I
It
don't
always
care.
feels good. It always feels
Do I
good.
like
We're
it? Of
humans.
course.
Yeah, good.
No,
No, I'm
but-
saying, you
You're
know
like a
love
puppy
languages?
that needs a belly rub.
No, I
That's
don't.
what
You got to go home and take the test today. It's called 5 love languages.
Sure.
Okay. It's pretty cool because it breaks down like, how we all
What is it called?
receive love. You've never done this, Josh? You got to do this with your wife. You gotta,
What is it? 5 love languages?
Yes. Okay. So basically the point is like these are the 5 ways, okay, we receive love in essence. Perceive and receive love. Okay. So you want me to give you the 5? 1, acts of service.
Right.
2 is quality time. 3 is physical touch. 4 is gift giving. And 5 is
Opening doors.
no, that's funny. I just forgot that one because that's the one that was relevant to you. Words of affirmation. That's it. The 5th one is words of affirmation. So basically,
yours?
it says these are
What's yours?
So we all have those 5.
Oh,
When you go
okay,
take the
okay.
test, it just tells you which one you have more than the other.
You've taken this test?
100%. My
What's
wife
num-
has done
what's
it
number
too.
1 for you?
I have it. So my number 1 is shit. What the fuck? I have it.
You wrote it
I
down
wanted to
somewhere?
say no. I'm saying
Seems like
I'm
it's really
high.
important.
I'm like so high. Like I'm so
It's
high.
like
that-
mine was.
Hold on. It's funny because let me put it this way. It's kind of the opposite of my wife's. So it's funny because I know it based on that. So my 5, like I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. My
Wives
5
usually are
is
gifts.
gift giving. Okay.
Yeah, so hers is
like
number 1.
receiving gift, right? So it's like the
Receiving
bottom.
gifts.
Okay. Like that's not something I care for. Second is
Words of affirmation?
words of affirmations. I thought it was low, but now I'm realizing it's actually high. Like
Really?
I'm feeling like it's changed over time. That it's something important to me.
Nice.
You
You're
know, so-
phenomenal, by the way. You're a great boss.
Appreciate you.
Great
Thank
leader.
you. So I'm saying, he's like
You lit up right there.
no, but you understand what I'm saying? Well, you
Yeah,
understand
take
what I'm
this
getting at,
bottle of
though?
water, too.
But Josh, listen, it's so funny you say that because that's the reality. What I'm saying is, when you understand each other's love languages, you understand how things work. Oh, one of my second things is acts of service. So I don't care, like if somebody does something, like serves
Really?
me. It's not important to me that somebody serves me. You see what I'm saying?
I think that's one of my higher ones.
So it's funny. My wife's is like number 1 is acts of service. So
Like to me,
she
something as
shows-
simple as her making me breakfast and a coffee every morning really shows that she appreciates how I start my day.
See,
like,
it's so
to
funny,
me-
right? Because my wife does that for me every morning, and I'm like, that took
don't
you
have
like
to do
45 minutes. If you gave me a 5-minute blowjob, you could have saved yourself 35
But that's
minutes.
also an act of service.
That is an
Well,
act
it's
of
physical
service.
touch. So physical.
That was in the middle.
There you go. Physical touch is my number 1. I was like, how did I forget this? So that's the point, right? Like, I
So
said,
now you know how to show him you love him.
All right, calm down, guy. Calm down. We already had that subject last episode.
so mine goes. So mine is
as long as he says thank you.
Mine is physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and then gift giving. That's how it goes.
Interesting.
So quality time is my 3.
Quality
my 2 is
time,
words of
dude.
affirmation. First is physical touch.
Quality time is, I feel like, something that is super easy to overlook.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's so easy to overlook.
The quality time is different, man. Like quality time is like, you know,
Well, because that's to me, time is the one fucking finite thing that we have. That no matter how much money you have, how many of this, you can never get more of it.
I mean, think
so
about
when
it,
you're
dude.
willing to give
Think
somebody
about it
your
this way.
time, that's the biggest,
have we been here for 2.5 hours? Is this right?
maybe even more.
Yeah.
You got here at about 25 past 1, right?
Yeah, at 1:30, 2:30, 3:04. Yeah, exactly. So
And
think
you,
about that.
You know, you're giving us a lot of time. We're
Yeah,
giving you a lot of time.
No, that's good. I mean,
we
that's
care
fun,
about
fun,
each
fun,
other.
fun.
Yeah.
But my perception is, think about it this way, okay? You and I have probably hung out the last since you've been back for hours and hours. The conversation we had here, just by putting our phones away and doing this, we don't do this enough anymore.
No, you're right.
You understand what I'm
When's the
saying?
last
dude?
time you went to like a comedy show?
Recently.
A lot
I
of the
do- I
comedy
do-
shows, they make you take your phone and you put it in the bag.
It's one
So
of the
I
best
saw-
times I
dude,
have is comedy shows.
I saw Joe Rogan like a couple of years ago. They took my phone, they put it in a bag, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm sitting here. There's me and my buddy, 4 strangers at our table. Nobody has a phone. And then it's like, I remembered how to connect with people. You know what I mean? It was the coolest fucking, because it was like 45 minutes before
interesting.
any act came on. And like, in 45 minutes, bro, we learned about this family, where they were from, what they did, all of this shit, man, where if we had our phones, we would have just been fucking checking Facebook
Exactly.
and Instagram. So you're right. You know, you put the phone down for a little while, don't use it. You get to talk to people.
Well, that's quality time, right? Like me and my wife do that. We'll have times that after 9 o'clock we do no screens, like
like that.
not phones at least, right? If we watch
can't do-
we watch a show together, we'll watch a show together where we'll
No
lay down
phones,
and
no
do
distractions,
that. But
like
again,
whatever
look, that's part of expectations, like job expectations. I have expectations, and my wife has expectations, and we share each other, like literally, like job description, and work on it together. You know what I'm saying? Because
That's
look, at the end of the
crazy.
day,
That's
you
crazy
have to.
good.
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's effective too, you know, and it's intentional, bro. It's like what we're talking about. If you really want to get better at something, what do? You have to
I've
fucking
never
break it
thought
down.
of my life like that until, recently meeting you, working with you, and like I just never thought of my life like that.
Dude,
so
it's
like,
everything.
It's revelatory to me. It's
It's everything. That's why, like, something as simple as us, like, we want to put a meeting every week to go over the podcast. What can we do? Let's review it.
Yeah.
It's like until it's on paper and on our calendar, we're not taking it seriously. You know what I mean?
What
So
you
now-
measure and reward is what you get. Okay.
So thank you.
That's
Opening
what
the
you're
door.
measuring, and the reward is the person saying thank you. So what you're getting is a better result. If you change that measurement to I opened the door because I want what I want, and you got the reward, which is I do good
All right.
deeds.
Let me pause real quick. If you were to write a goal, right? I'm becoming a better person.
Yeah.
If you made a list, yeah, it's upstairs to the right. Do you want me to walk out? If you
Nah,
want to
I
go.
got it.
You sure?
Upstairs to the right. I'll figure it out.
Upstairs to the right.
Worst case, I'll open a
First
few
door on
doors.
your left.
Up, right, and then on the left. Up, right, and then the left. Yep. Okay.
You got it. It's the door with the toilet, bro. Oh, right here, Jay. Right here.
He's already lost.
You didn't even make it up. You didn't make it up, bro.
Yo, can I just say, I want to be in front of the door the next time you have to open the door for somebody so bad. I just want to be anywhere
So-
near it.
What are you gonna say? Yeah,
what I was gonna say, right, is if you were making
assets.
if you were making a list of like what makes you a good person, and one of your goals was, hey, I want to open the door for 10 people this month. No, it's funny,
Okay.
but like, right? Hey, if you checked off all 10 of those,
Yeah.
would you feel like you accomplished your goal?
Of course.
Would you ever decide to put, hey, I'm gonna be a good person this month. I want to open the door for 10 people, and I want all 10 of them to thank me. Because there's one of them you can control, you know what I mean? The other one you can't. So like the other one, what they do, how they respond is like irrelevant. It doesn't have any effect on whether you're doing what or not.
I understand
Jay
that.
just
I-
doesn't want people to be assholes.
right.
But that's not your
Don't be a
battle,
fucking
though.
asshole.
That's not your battle. You can't
Just say
teach.
thank
can't-
you.
This is so fucking hard.
Bro, do you get mad? Do you get mad like when people cut you off or some shit, or like you wave somebody on in traffic and they don't fucking like? I
Bro,
get so
we've talked
mad.
about this for the last
No,
hour.
but I get like pissed mad.
Yeah.
Like if they don't wave back
Here's what I realize. So I realize I should not, but do I? Yes.
every time.
Yeah. It's kind of like
just
the door
little,
thing.
That's
No,
a
if
little
somebody's-
internal measurement of growth. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
when
It's-
somebody doesn't say thank you or acknowledge the fact that I'm opening the door, it doesn't have to be a verbal thank you. It could be a head nod. It could be
it doesn't
whatever.
have to be
Just
anything.
acknowledge that somebody is doing something for you for your benefit,
found the bathroom.
right? But again, there's that. Again, it's,
get your own
it's
ice?
an age-old argument.
No,
Whether
it's not. It's an argument we just started 1 hour ago.
No,
bro.
no, no.
It's an age-old argument.
it is.
Should you say thank you?
No, like I've had people always say to me, like, everything you do is self-serving. No matter what it is.
I guess.
Yeah. All right. So like, there's
find
that.
it okay?
There's that.
all fine.
There's that
Love that.
argument.
So I don't even
What's
know
the
if they're
argument?
here or not.
Huh?
My family up there or no? Did you say
No,
hi?
nobody's there.
Oh, I think they might be hiding. Unless you left. I don't know. See? 2 years ago, I would always know where everybody is because we like shared one big room. Now you got me in a house. I don't know where anybody is. They might be on the east wing somewhere doing something.
Exactly, right?
Now, what we were saying is I gave Jay an example of if you told yourself, hey, I want to be a good person this month, so I'm going to make a list.
Oh, there's still one more there. So my bad. Sorry. Bro.
What? Oh, yeah, that blunt's like halfway done.
Oh, I thought we finished that.
No.
No, we can, though. I mean, I'll be honest. We've been going for a little while, though. It might be time to wrap this up. Is there anything you wanted to add? Anything you wanted to add?
I sit here all fucking day talking. I don't care.
Smoke weed every day.
He's like, we get to smoke weed, so it's fine.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
whatever.
we can do that even if we're not fucking like recording.
make it
all
this-
that shit.
We
Yeah, we don't
watch-
have to fucking
But,
record.
all right. Well, in that case, Jay, honestly, for the sake of the fourth wall and the viewers, I want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us this wisdom that you always have a habit of, regardless of what it is or what we're doing, wherever it is, you walk in and you're immediately like, hey, how can I help them raise up a little higher? Whether it was fucking the cameras or how we're promoting our podcast. Literally, I feel like I wrote down 17 things that I could do since you were here for an hour.
Well, more like 3 hours, but
Yeah, true. Well,
I'll bill you later.
The last 2 hours, I forgot what you said.
well,
to
wait,
be
time
honest.
out. I don't get paid for this. I thought I could bill you
No, I'll
$1,000
send
an
you a-
hour.
I'll send you a thank
It's
you
like,
note.
It's like Jay's thing. Like I don't get a thank you.
Come on. Listen. Oh, go ahead. You're finished. You're
No. So one thing I do want to let everybody that's listening and watching know that not only is Jay the owner of the company that we're all working with, working for, but he's really taking a step out of that box to brand himself as just one of the
believer.
best leaders that I fucking ever met in my life. Your
Absolutely.
brand is
Appreciate
not
you,
really
buddy.
there yet. I know you obviously are on
Absolutely.
Instagram with Jay Gotra, Earned Life. Earned Life is going to be the brand, right?
So we'll talk outside of this too,
Okay,
but I'd
sorry,
love
I
to
didn't mean to
have
spill
you
the
be the
beans.
part of the Earned Life brand and us build it together if you want to be a part of it in some way.
Of course.
Because really, to me, Earned Life brand is just this: is giving people an opportunity to speak up, and like have their views and perspectives, and find a safe place where if they have something of value to add, that they can add value, right? So again, you got to understand one thing you'll understand about me as you get to know more and more of me is adding value to people is the most important factor that I care for, right? So to me, Earn Life is about, impacting a million people in a positive direction.
He's not done.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, I want more and more people that want to be part of that journey. If you want to impact people in a positive way, I want you
cool,
to
man.
be part of that purpose and part of that journey, like even funding an operation and location and things like that. Let's talk about that because, again, to me, man, this is real. You know what I'm saying? This is part of quality time. And you know what? We need to do more of this to give people real places and real shit to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And I want to do that. I want to create a place, when I have, I want to create a place that adds value. You know what I'm saying? And again,
We just have like another segment. Instead of just recording every Sunday, we do one day a week where the guests are only Smart Green employees, man.
there you go.
Hey,
There's
There's
a
nothing wrong
lot
with
of
that.
cool shit that we can do, man.
Well, to be honest with you, if you want, and that's the reality, I want to talk to you guys about that too. Like, let's do like maybe a podcast,
talk off camera.
on, huh?
Let's talk off camera now.
Yeah, sure, we could do that. Cool. Let's do that. So yeah, you're gonna close this thing out.
I don't want to spill the beans too much, bro. Then tomorrow we're going in like, hey, can I be on the Smart Green episode next week? Like,
Exactly,
whoa,
right? Let's talk
Let us
about
build
that.
the infrastructure. But
Exactly,
hey,
yeah.
So again, man, thanks again for coming. Obviously, George, we love you. And Jay and I are going to sing our outro song now.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
So long, farewell to you, my friends. You gonna leave me hanging, bro? All right, yo. Thanks for listening. We love you guys. Goodbye.